Good morning, and we are back for another episode of Around the Indoor Football World, where we discuss all the major indoor football leagues, including the IFL, AF1, NAL, and TAL. And as you can see, today I am joined by two members who know the TAL very well, quarterback Matt Rush and coach Brandon Henderson. How are you gentlemen doing this morning?
Pretty good, pretty good. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to have you. Looking forward to learning some more about your career. Coach B, how are you doing this morning?
It's another Saturday, man. I'm excited to be here.
Absolutely. I want to say lots to talk about, but there's not as much as recent weeks. Let's put it that way. It's been a little bit of a quiet couple weeks, but definitely can learn more about Matt's career and then kind of work through the show here and talk about some other leagues. But Matt, we were just talking off camera, and I know you were involved with the Queen City Insane Asylum before this, and I believe correct me if I'm wrong. I'm blanking his name at the moment, but the coach that came over with the Lunkers, was he the main reason why you ended up joining the TAL?
Partly, yeah. Another reason was because, obviously the Lunkers are located here in Springfield where I've resided for a while. And so being able to, play professionally in my backyard was kind of like a no-brainer. But Bruff being a part of it and coming over had a part in me coming over and playing for sure.
There you go. There you go. Love it. Coach B, do you have anything for Matt?
Man, I know you've been doing this a while. Love watching you. Every time we game playing, I always say my DVs better know where number two is. Always. So now you added Mackey and you added Kuka to the mix. You got a three-headed monster now on that side of the ball. It kind of levels out the playing field in the TAL. And I think that gave you the edge that y'all needed. Would you say that's what y'all was missing to get over that hump?
Oh, 100%. Obviously, I don't want to use the word struggled at the QB position, but kind of inserted some guys that, great guys, obviously, and good athletes, but just weren't a good fit for what we were looking for. And so when Colt came in, he's a football guy, a hardworking guy, just wants to win, just wants to compete. And I felt like he was that missing piece that we were kind of needing to kind of get this thing rolling. And so, as you guys know, he came in and he kind of hit the ground running. Hasn't looked back. I think he had a couple of days off, got on the road and shot to Springfield, and um, the ball's been rolling ever since. And then Mackey, I know you guys see what he's been doing. I don't think I need to say too much. I think he's a front runner for MVP, and that's well deserved. I mean, the guy just he don't go down. He don't go down. Hard to tackle, a competitor. One of my favorite teammates for sure. A guy that's been a pleasure to be around and to play with. But yeah, those two guys have come in and they've kind of complete the puzzle. And I think they're the pieces that we've needed for a while to kind of take us over the hump.
I apologize. I thought you played quarterback. Are you not playing quarterback?
Man, it depends on the week. It depends
He's an
on the week. You
athlete.
you may you may
Athlete.
see me at quarterback. You may see me at receiver. You may see me at running back. I prepare for all. You may see me at DB. I prepare to do whatever I need to do to help us win. So yeah, in the past you've probably seen me play some quarterback. But since Colts come in, I've been just mainly focusing on receiver. I think that's where I'm needed the most to help our team win.
That makes
That
sense.
Sam, if he at quarterback, I already know it's either gonna be a wildcat or he doing some kind of trick play. So he's more of a threat to us. I'm not gonna lie, at wide receiver. Putting him out there on the island or just letting him come in that motion, it's hard enough to cover him one on one. So you got to really be accountable for him. So he really takes two people out your defense.
Makes sense. Makes sense. And to be completely honest, I think I saw you play quarterback for Queen City and just assumed, to be honest, but
Yeah, yeah, no, for
um,
sure.
that makes sense for sure. So definitely love to see that. I'm a big fan of versatility, especially when it comes to people who can play quarterback. That's incredibly valuable for a team, in the arena football world with these smaller rosters. So
For
like
sure.
that a lot. How do you go about preparing for that? I mean, what's a typical day in practice look like for you? Are you taking reps with the wide receivers and moving over to running back, to quarterback, all that stuff, or is it just kind of where you individually prepare yourself for all of those things?
Yeah, I got to individually prepare myself. The arena game is so fast, and a lot of things happen that you just can't really plan for everything. So I spend a lot of my time at receiver, and practicing there and getting all my reps there. And if I'm thrown in at quarterback, mentally I'm always prepared. If I have to go in at some point, or if I have to go in at DB, I'm always prepared mentally to do that. But as far as the physical side of it, man, football is football. I've been playing these positions for so long that I don't. I hate to say I don't really need practice there, but it's just kind of like muscle memory. Insert me there and tell me what I need to do, and I'll do it. So yeah, as far as preparing, man, I spend a lot of my time at receiver and getting better there. And like I said, if I got to go in at one of those other positions, I'm prepared mentally to do whatever I need to do.
I love it. I love it. Coach, do you have anything else?
Much as I hate the Lunkers, you know what I'm saying? Because we that rivalry in Missouri. I do respect everything you do. I look at how you guys do it the right way. Facility is always on point. The
Mhm.
the field is on point. You're one of the few teams that does have padding under your turf.
Yeah.
I see you guys do it the right way down there. How important is it that your owner really invests in your team, your players, the community? How is it like being in Springfield, and how is the city embraced you, and how's your owner embraced you?
Man, it's been a fun time, man. I tell people all the time, they ask me what it's like being a professional, and I get to tell them, the things that Mark and Monica and our leadership have done for us that have truly made us feel like professional athletes. From the food we eat, to our facilities, to how just things operate from top to bottom, man. It doesn't get any better than what we have down here. Now, obviously, I don't know what other people got going, but I've heard, and what we got going here in Springfield, man, is truly special. Mark really cares. He's invested a lot of time and money into making sure that we have, the best of the best when it comes to equipment and food. Like I said, food. He's always talking about, man, I gotta feed you guys. Gotta make sure you guys are kept up with everything, because you guys are out there putting your bodies on the line every week. And so, man, he cares, man. I haven't found somebody like him. A guy that's truly invested, a guy that truly cares about the direction of of an organization, man. It's truly special. And Springfield, man, they've obviously first year you kind of don't know what to expect. There's some kinks you got to work out, but this second year, man, they have showed up and showed out. Our fan base has gotten larger. Everywhere you go, people know the Lunkers. You can't go out into the public and wear a Lunker shirt and somebody not ask about it. So it's been truly special, man, to be a part of the Lunkers organization and what they got going on here.
I'm glad to hear that the community's starting to back the team.
Yeah,
I personally am very intrigued by the TAL. I think this is going to be a league that's going to be around for the long term. I think that it's very well designed, very smart business model in terms of keeping costs kind of low for the ownership groups and stuff like that. So I'm excited to see the future of this league. But to hear that the community's buying in, that's kind of an added factor that really kind of will help elevate these leagues. But
sure.
out of curiosity, heading into next season, into 2026, are you looking for other opportunities in, say the IFL, NAL before the TAL season starts? Do you anticipate just playing in the TAL again in 2026, or what's your ultimate goal as far as your career goes?
Man, I don't know. I'm just focused on this year right now, and wherever this takes me after that, we'll kind of sit back and reflect and see if that makes sense. But right now, I'm just kind of focused on the Lunkers. Obviously, I've talked to some other organizations, about next year and what that looks like for me, and when Lunker season's not in. But I haven't thought that far. It's a game at a time for me. I've thought about hanging it up, so we'll see what happens after this year's over. But right now, man, I'm just focused on getting a ring with the Lunkers. That's my main goal right now, and seeing what happens after that.
Well, I'm not sure if you saw it, but Coach B was shaking his head when you said hang it up. So hopefully you're not ready to be done yet. You're a lot of fun to watch. But
Appreciate it.
Coach B, you got anything else for him?
Yeah, don't hang it up. That's one thing I do regret, hanging up the cleats early, but I kind of love it because it got me in the front office and showed me the other side of the game that I
Yeah.
was missing. And from a player standpoint, now I'm on the other side of seeing it from a business standpoint. But I do think just watching, looking at the talent, looking at you from last year to this year, I feel like you deserve to be in the CFL. I think that's where you will blow the top off. Like my boy Regan from Bay Area.
Yeah.
I think you fit just like him in that system in the CFL. If that opportunity ever came, do you think you would take it?
Man, like I said, I'd have to reflect on it. I have had some opportunities in the past to kind of lean into the CFL and didn't jump on it when I probably should. Obviously, some things happened, COVID and all that, but I don't know, man. Right now, as it sits, I don't know where I would, if I would or if I wouldn't. I'm not gonna say yes or no. But if the opportunity came, I definitely wouldn't just turn away from it. You know, I'd have to entertain it and see how that fits into whatever else I got going on. Obviously, I got a family, a wife, and so um, we'll see, man. If it happens, it does. But I'll evaluate it if it does.
Last question for me. Do you see the Lunkers staying in the TAL or with the talent and the level that you guys are coming at now? Do you feel like y'all should be in a higher level like the IFL, NAL, or the AF1?
Man, I definitely think that as far as talent goes, when it comes to those leagues, the Lunkers are right there. I don't know if there's any plan to jump to one of those leagues as far as the organization goes. I haven't heard anything. I have heard some talks of some other teams maybe potentially looking at joining some other leagues, but I think the Lunkers are pleased with the TAL and the direction of it, and I think eventually, at some point, the TAL will be one of those premier leagues that people look at like, oh wow, like we need to go there. So it's up and coming, man. A lot of these leagues have been around for a while. They've been established. Those players have been playing in those leagues for years. TAL is obviously in its second season, and it's only going to continue to grow. There's 6 teams now, and I would imagine here in a few years there'll be 10, and it'll just keep growing. I don't think it'll get too big to the point where they can't maintain it, but I think it'll get to a point where it's like, okay, this is something that people want to be a part of. So right now, I think the Lunkers are just focused on that. Obviously the Lunkers are growing, TAL's growing, so I think they just want to grow with each other. So we'll see what happens, though. Like I said, it could happen one day where they decide, hey, let's go try out some other league. But I think they're pretty set in the TAL right now as it sits.
Makes sense. Makes sense for sure. It seems like I said, the TAO is definitely trending in the right direction in terms of a league, and it sounds like there's going to be more teams coming in 2026. So another reason to be excited about this league and kind of follow through. As a player, how do you like the timing of the season and how it kind of kicks off a lot later than the other leagues? Do you guys feel like you get more focus or less focus in terms of fans and whatnot, and viewers, given that you guys are technically kind of competing with the playoffs for a lot of other leagues?
Uh, it personally, it doesn't bother me. I think as far as our community goes, this is a perfect time to have a season. Obviously there's other arena leagues going on, but people just like watching football. So when it's right here in your backyard, if you can access it on TV, people will tune in because there's no other major leagues like, NFL, UFL. Those leagues are all over with. So I think there's no better time than having a season than right now. Because you know really, I think the only thing that's on is golf. I'm a golf fan, but not other people are golf fans. So when you're a huge football fan and football is on, I think people want to tune in regardless of if it's arena, 11 man, whatever the case may be. So timing of it to me, I think it's perfect. Obviously there are other playoff leagues going on, but as far as TAL goes, I think it's no better time to have it than right now.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Before we let you get out of here, is there anybody you want to shout out or anything like that?
Yeah, man. The Lunkers organization from top down. You know, we're off this week. We got a strong push for the number one seed playing Duluth next week. So we got a big task and challenge at hand. But you know, shout out to the Lunkers organization and shout out to y'all for doing this and having this platform and bringing me on. Man, I really appreciate it.
I need you to get
Absolutely.
that dub, bro. I need that dub next week, bro.
We need it. We need it, man. It's going to Duluth isn't easy. It's not easy, but hey, we know what we got to do, and so go and
I'm
handle
at
our business.
Maddie. I'm actually undefeated in the deck.
Are you?
Yes, we ain't lost it up there in Duluth
Yeah.
before ever.
Oh wow. I wish I could say the same, man. But listen, I'm gonna start it. I'm gonna start a clean slate next week. So we'll see what we can do.
Bad,
There
bad.
you go. Just in time for the playoffs, right?
Just in time. Just in time.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Rush. We really appreciate your time this morning and would love to have you back on, maybe later on in the season, hopefully right before the championship game that you guys are about to play in.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for coming on and setting me straight on the record on what position you play, which is apparently everything. Excuse me. Sorry about that. But really appreciate your time and would love to have you back on in the future.
Yeah, for sure. Appreciate you guys having me on. It was a pleasure, man, talking to you.
No
Absolutely.
problem, bro.
Yep.
Have a great rest of your day and good luck next week.
Appreciate it.
We're going to hit a quick commercial and then we'll be back with the head coach of the Albany Firebirds, Mr. Damon Ware. All right, we are back, and we have the AF1 champion head coach, Damon Ware, joining us. So, Coach Ware, it's been a little while since you and I have talked. Congratulations on winning a championship. It was a hell of a season for you guys.
Yeah, thank you for having me on. For having me a quick little vacation, and then it's getting ready for college training camp. So I've got a lot of football year round, so I got to grab my little away time when I can.
Absolutely. Chris, you want to kick us off on this one?
Yeah, obviously, Coach, I appreciate your time. Obviously, 2025 went amazing, right? Undefeated championship. How much of the 2025 roster do you anticipate coming back in 2026?
During our exit interview process, I really don't think there was one player that did not want to come back. There's always a process that I'll get into soon. Going through everybody, just kind of going everything with a fine tooth comb is what I do at the end of every season. Just kind of self scout ourselves, figure out who was able to provide us exactly what we were looking for, who wasn't. It's always a tough process, but I anticipate at least a good 80% of our team coming back this year. So it'll be a good continuity going into 2026.
Coach B, you got anything?
Coach D, what up, baby?
What's going on, Coach B?
Not much, man. I've been around Coach Ware for a long time. When I first came to the league, he was one of my coaches. They used to call me Firecracker. He was one of them ones who used to calm me down and told me how to be a professional. So it's been a long time coming. You're getting everything you deserve, Coach. I see it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. It's been a lot of work. It doesn't come easy in this business. I talk to a lot of young coaches about this business. It's tough to get into. It's tough to ever make money where you could live off of. And it's a brutal business. Again, I put my job against any engineering or architectural or type of job. It requires that much effort and a lot of sacrifice. But I love what I do. I love the game, and as long as I can keep giving back, I'll do it as long as I can.
I see you was able to help keep Albany in Albany, and you brung it back. How does it feel, and how is it building that infrastructure out there? in New York, because that's a hard place to have a team at, with workman comp, with just the athletes, living, everything. How do you do it year in, year out, and put the best product on the field?
I mean, it's been a long process. Coming out of COVID, things were bleak, and New York was a epicenter of where COVID began. So just coming out of that and trying to keep things going, it's just been a long process. We weren't allowed to have fans, and then it was a very short number, and continuing to build on just tradition. We like to call Albany the Mecca. It's a place where you come and get better, build value for yourself. And so just through the process of it, through 21, obviously coming out of COVID, winning the championship, going into 22, continuing to just, build what we call the Firebird way. Just the way we go about the day. Again, it's you guys probably got to talk to some of our players just about the difference between how we do things and how maybe some other teams do things. I treat it like it's an NFL team. That's probably the best way to put it. What's the difference between us and the NFL? It's just the money. The game, how hard you have to work, what you have to put into it, the game plan and the adjustments, everything. It's no different than any other football, at the highest level. So we treat it as such. And so, I try to keep my guys involved in football 7 days a week. Not that I don't trust them, but I want them focused on the game. And so, we do things 7 days a week. We put a lot of time and energy into it. It's one thing I tell my guys: if you come to Albany, I will guarantee you I'll make you a better player. I'll build some value for you. And then those guys that are really, really good, we've got a nice, ability to put some guys in front of some people that can make some decisions at the higher levels. So it's a great place to be, through all the challenges. Going through the AB year was crazy. You go into coach football, end up on TMZ. That was interesting. But then coming back and rebranding, it's something special. It's something, there's only so many things in the course of a football career that you can truly say were like the most amazing moments. And just rebranding is obviously in my top five. Going to the NFL was a huge honor. Helping build a Division II college program was a huge moment. But rebranding is special as well. It was we just really didn't know what we had. With the name, bringing back from the past. And so, Albany had left the Firebirds name after the 99. Well, they brought it back in a few other smaller capacities, but, after they had won the championship in 99 and kind of the name kind of died at that point. And so when we were really sitting down thinking about what it was that we wanted to be a part of the past, obviously, with Albany's rich tradition. But we wanted something that people could resonate, people could really hold on to. And, we decided to come back with the Firebirds. And all I can tell you was we really didn't understand the power of bringing back this name. And so, and then, this year it was, last year losing the championship game, when you have all your championship rings have another name on them, it just makes it awkward. And so when I look at the rings in the case, it just, kind of makes you shake your head like that brand's no longer there. And so I just, every time I looked at my rings, I just something just doesn't feel right. And so what we really wanted to do was have a ring with a bird on it. Obviously it's been, since 1999, since this brand's had a ring. We were able to accomplish that this year. And so the rest is kind of history. So phenomenal season, going undefeated, with everybody wanting us to fail. Just making it through the biggest moments, all the adjustments, the changes, and then facing a great Nashville team in the championship game. It was all really fun, exciting. I've got a great deal of respect for Coach Arbet. Talk to him all the time. Just a great human being. But again, what an exciting 2025 season, and they finally gave me a Coach of the Year award. I'd be remiss to not say that I really believe that I deserve the last 4 out of the last 5. And, like I said, for whatever reason, these awards go the way they are, whether it's a popularity contest or whatever it is, it's sometimes you just don't feel like it's giving to the most valuable, it's giving to the most popular, or don't give all the awards to one team because they're so good, or, there's been so many thoughts I've had about these awards over the year, but they finally gave me one, and as much as I don't do it for the awards, it was finally nice to get one.
That's an interesting point there. I know a lot of leagues try to spread the wealth a little bit, so I could see from a team like Albany's perspective that might feel like a little bit of a slight. You guys are constantly one of the best in every league you're in. So for some of your guys to miss out on that chance to get an award, or you yourself miss out on that chance, that does that can't sit well with you guys, I imagine.
Yeah, like I said, it's always that point of contention at the end is who gets the awards and why they give them to who they do. And like I said, there's been plenty of years that I could show you 20 different ways why certain people deserve the award, and the award is being most valuable. And so, like I said, at the end of the day, it is what it is. But it was special. My family was there, everybody, just to finally get one of these awards, even though, like I said, I truly believe, and I will say that to whoever. Really, I think that I earned a 4 out of the last 5, and so to finally get one, it was pretty special, though. Not that, like I said, I don't do it for the awards, but it is nice to see kind of the culmination of how hard you work every year, that somebody noticed.
Absolutely, and long overdue on that front for sure. I mean, this 2025 was an amazing season, but I have to ask, I mean, what changed after the 2024 championship game? I mean, at this point, you basically haven't lost a game in a calendar year, and the last one was the championship game, and it just seemed like something was off in that game. But then this season, you guys just rolled through opponents basically all year long.
Yeah, I'm thankful for the 2024 loss. I truly am. It's hard to, that game still hurts. It's a lot of things just happened, leading up to the game. My kicker had walked into my office the day I was turning in the roster for the championship game in 24, and says, "Hey, I'm not going to be able to play." And it's something that we had worked on for several weeks, and like I said, it was just a huge shock. And to try to find a kicker in that can fly to New Jersey in 24 hours is it's a position I'd hate to have any coach have to be in. If you've got local kickers or you got somebody on deck, maybe that works. But for me, I went to that championship game. I'd never seen this kicker kick not one time. I had to get him on basically a recommendation from somebody I highly respect, and it didn't work out, and it caused a lot of challenges in the game. And I'll just remember just the first, during pregame warmup when I'm watching, my normal routine, I'm watching it was, I'm shaking my head like, whew, and I knew in my head that we were in trouble, just from being in the pregame warmup. So a lot of things kind of happened down the stretch last year. We had such a brutal schedule in 24. Our team was beat up. There was just a lot of things that that just kind of went down the stretch that possibly could have been avoided. And so I take those things on me. I put that game squarely on me. I had trusted that our kicker would make it through the year, after a bunch of conversations. And so I said, you roll the dice sometimes and you don't win. And so I put those things on me, but that spurred me into the off season. And so I took, again, to use a real estate term, I took the house down to the studs. So it spurred me. It was walking off the field, losing that game after all the adversity, just everything that went wrong, and to lose by 5 points, and to have watched one of my players drop the tying points in the game on an easy catch, and like I said, it was gut wrenching. And so going into the off season, it was I really want to figure out what exactly we want to do here, and it started with coaches. At the end of the day, I have to spend ungodly amount of time with other human beings. So I want to make sure that all of those guys are dialed in onto the culture that I have, onto the work ethic that I have, and that are going to put in the time and effort. So it started there. So I wanted to make some changes to the coaching staff, and so did that. Then it was to go through the roster and was to go through every single player. Is this player doing what I need them to do? Did they buy in? Are they the type to practice the way that I want them to practice? So it was all those things that kind of came to fruition. And so, I think I only brought back either 6 or 7 guys from the 24 championship into 2025. And so I really went through every position, just very, very detailed. I feel that I recruit in a very different way. It's a very long process to obviously get signed. Barring something late in the season like an injury, maybe we don't get to spend as much time finding out, a lot about those guys. But in the offseason, I have a ton of time to go through. I have a process that I go through with every single player. And, my thing is, everybody on my team, I tell them all the time, it's I recruit, guys that I really want to be around. I don't always recruit the best athlete, because if I talk to you and I go through the process and I feel like there's going to be stress in this relationship, I don't want that, So, it's funny when you listen to younger coaches and they, oh man, just get the dogs and you can do this and do that. That's not no, because I've had guys that are uncontrollable and I've got them and again a coach called me right after the championship game and he was like, man, this is coach wear rehab. And so he was like, you do so much for these guys just off the field that, don't you think that that's what you want to continue to do? And not necessarily, I do take in some very hard cases that other people throw away. And, like they say, some people's trash is other people's treasures. But for the most part, I want to be around guys that share a sense of value, that understand what it means to buy into a culture that I enjoy being around. And so I will tell you, this was my least stressful year I think I've ever had coaching because I really went after guys that I really wanted to be around. And so that's where it started. Obviously, we bring in 35 of the absolute best players in the country. So training camp is a war. And so I will say for this year, it was the hardest training camp I've ever witnessed. It truly was going to war on a day in and day out basis. Some of my best players after the first week were like, Coach, our bodies are so beat up and sore, like we could barely move. And I loved hearing that. Maybe that sounds sick, but I absolutely loved hearing that because that meant that we were doing the right things. And so it was tough to come down to our 25 guys. Obviously, it's 24, but we had an international kicker, so we were able to hold 25. And we really picked a great group of kids. Normally in the course of the season, you're going to have some kind of ups and downs and adversity. This group of kids, they love each other. They hang close to each other. And there was just absolutely no negativity, no craziness off the field, no weird moments off the field. It was absolutely just a bunch of great young men. I've never received so many compliments from our sponsors. And it goes to show that, again, taking it down to the studs was an important factor and figured out what we want to be. We want to have great athletes that have total buy-in, but have great character too. That word is thrown around kind of loosely, but you want guys that are good people. You want guys that can go out in the community and represent your brand well. You want guys to be able to walk into a school and make kids smile. You want guys to walk into, major businesses and be able to do events and have those people say, I really want those people back. And so all of that kind of tied into being around people that I wanted to be around. And so just a phenomenal year. Like I said, at the end of the day, I built a system that I knew would be successful, but every year you have to refine kind of your approach to things. And so kids are changing. Obviously, this generation's different. And so you really, as a coach, and that's been, for my first years coaching in all the way back in the 90s, screaming, yelling, and jumping in people's face and cussing people out. And that's how we coached back then. And that was normal. To now, I love the nickname that people have given me, the professor, because now I'm a teacher. I really, like I said, that's all I'm doing. I'm coaching at a university. You know what I mean? And so we just do things in a way that keeps everybody's mentality about the game. And so I don't do a ton of screaming, yelling. There's times when we'll do it, but I'm really just always teaching. Hey, you know what? No, something ain't right. Come on, let's get in here. Let's jump on this board. All right, so and so, get up there. Let's walk through this stuff. Let's make sure that we understand why we do the things that we do, and that approach has been very good with this generation of kids. And so I love that some people have thrown that nickname out, and so like I said, I love it. The professor's another kind of a great nickname that's came about over the last couple of years, but that's what it is. Is we again we truly want to build value with kids. We want people to come in. We want to give you an NFL experience. So again, you're going to come in, you're going to work harder than you've ever worked with any other football team. You're going to get coached harder than you've ever been coached. But ultimately, again, like they say, men lie, women lie, but numbers don't lie. Every single year, my offense has been number one. Can't take that away from us. And so at the end of the day, my biggest thing was to get this defense to the right spot. And now that we have a number one defense, man, we just want to keep this train rolling. And like I said, sometimes you just think of moments, and you remember when LeBron was going to Miami and he was like, not one championship, not two, not three. And, like I said, laughing about that, and it's kind of jokingly. But again, that's how we feel here in Albany. We really do feel that every year we'll compete for a championship. As long as I continue, to do the process that we put in place, I think that we will be right at the top every single year. And yes, that might sound a little bit cocky to other people, but it really isn't. It is a culmination of a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of refining systems, and our systems just work. And we're a little more unorthodox than some other teams, but we bring it to the table. And like I said, the numbers don't lie. We continue to dominate in arena football, and we want to continue. Now, for us right now, it's to watch the league grow, to bring in a lot more existing and storied franchises and new franchises that are led by great leaders. We want the best of the best. We want, like I said, we've got Coach Walker and Coach Arbet, and we've got these great coaches over here. We want the best of the best to be in this league, and we want this thing to be a great chess game each and every night. And that's what the future is. It's all about building this brand. We got the right people in place now at the league, so we can stop all the silliness of the up and down. I know all these other leagues try to, they all have their opinions about things, but I'm going to tell you right now, the top end talent of inside football is in AF1. It's not even a question. It's, and I'll let you guys ask questions about the other leagues later, but I have some opinions that I definitely want to speak on some other leagues as well. But yeah, 2025 was a great season.
Don't hold back, coach. Shoot. We want to hear.
Like I said, you know, I'm an honest person, and there's players that want me to recruit them all the time that I will tell them that they're a better fit for other leagues. And so I have, we don't have a true running back. So running backs call me all the time. Hey, I'll move the receiver. I'll do the. You know what? You're a better fit for some of these other leagues. So we're really honest because it's really about the kids. We want every kid that's ever come, into contact with our organization to leave with a professional feeling. You know what? Those coaches were professional. Hey, the equipment manager's professional. Hey, the trainer's professional. We want everyone that you come in contact with our organization for you to have a professional experience. So I just, over the years, you get all the feedback of other leagues, and they're out there, telling kids, who's got the best talent or who's the most connected and who's this and who's that. And, those things are frustrating. Like I said, we talk about being connected to the next level. I'm highly connected to the next level. So, so top end talent. Yeah, absolutely. We have the top end talent in the country. And there's not even a question. And so I tried to get on some type of live or Zoom or something and get coaches from every league. And let's talk about talent. Let's pull up some film and you tell me what you feel is talent, and I'm going to tell you what I feel is talent. And I really wanted to do something like that because I just don't like all the, like I said, there is no one dominant league that has all the talent. It's just not the case. And so, the one league in particular that runs around and that's dressed up the nice, they're dressed up the nicest. I'll give them that. They like to tell everybody they have the best talent. Well, there is a great deal of their players I wouldn't touch. And so their league is younger. And so that holds value to have younger guys. That there's value to that. they've got a vet rule which kind of holds the talent back. And so when we talk about dressing things up, if I water down the pool, and from the top team to the bottom team, the talent level isn't that different, don't the games naturally look better? Don't they look like they're really, really competitive games? Sure. And so, but for football aficionados, we understand what we're looking at. What we're looking at is a watered down version, so the games are more exciting, and I love that for them. Like I said, I came from that side. I absolutely love that league. I just don't like what we've come now to this. Like we need to throw mud across the hallway at each other. It just makes no sense. We need every one of these leagues because kids need to continue to build value. If they're going to move up, there's only so many places. So you got the NFL, which barely any are going to ever make it to. We've got the CFL and UFL that their first look is guys that come from the biggest league. And then obviously, again, you have the inside leagues. So why are we fighting, or why are we telling kids when there's just a multitude of kids out there that can play? Why are we trying to tell them which league is better or which league has the best talent or all these different things? I just don't understand that. And so, when I made that post recently, a couple people reached out to me real quick, you know what I mean, from the other league. And it's just kind of funny. It's, no, the best talent isn't all in one league. But I can tell you right now, the Albany Firebirds have some of the best talent in the country. And as I will say, I would put our team this year, I would put up against anybody in the country, and I would not have any problem thinking that we would win a championship in any of these other leagues. And that's just, again, that's just the way it goes. If we were able to set up a champion versus champion game, like I said, if we play our rules, it's a wrap. That's over. If we were to play the other rules, yeah, it'd be closer. But look at the kind of talent that we have from top to bottom. I mean, it's amazing. And so when people, I won't speak for the rest of the teams in our league. I'll let their coaches speak for them. But if you're a kid watching this and you really want to know where the best talent in the country is, it's really on the Albany Firebirds. Now, there's great talent all over the country. And I appreciate every single team, coach, fan that's involved in this, because we need all of these leagues. There's nothing wrong with indoor football versus arena football. And again, if you think about it, all the way back, I didn't like arena football back in the day. I was an indoor guy through and through. And I used to think the same thing some of these guys that call me and tell me, like, oh man, the arena game's an easier game. And it really isn't. Now it's different. It is different. There's maybe a little bit more schematically that you can do, in the IFL. But again, in 2018, with a poor organization, we brought together a group of kids and we torched the league offensively. So it's not, I never kind of understand all this. So I've been in all the leagues. I've been in the IFL. I've been in the NAL. I've been in the AFL/AF1. I even spent a short amount of time in the CIF to see all these different talent levels. And I can still tell you right now, the top end talent is still in the AF1. It's the highest end talent that there is in the AF1. You look at quarterback play, obviously we throw the ball more. You take somebody, and I won't put out names, but you take some of the quarterbacks in the IFL and look at their stats. And they're running the ball 70% of the time and throwing the ball 30%. Now, you want to tell me that's good football? Inside football? Depends who you talk to. But two of their best quarterbacks over the past 5 years have ran the ball 70% and one even 80% in the course of the season. That's that. How do you not have closer games? It's become a run fest. And so I know in 18 we brought in a heavy run RPO system, and it did very good. But like I said, the game just doesn't look the same as me. You know what I mean? I will always love my time there, but if the game has got to a point where we're going to run the ball 80% of the time with our quarterback, that's not the game I'm looking to be a part of. And so, hopefully there'll be some adjustments and the ebbs and flows that happen in football, but that just isn't as fun to me as if I got to line up my quarterback and risk if my quarterback goes out on a run, the game's over, the season's over. Look at some of these guys that have ran and they got hurt, and look at their teams afterwards. It's for me, Sam Casanova was one of the best running quarterbacks in the country. I don't run him. I don't want him to get hurt. So I don't want, and he wants to. Hey, coach, no, I don't need you to do that. We'll come up with a game plan to keep you from running. Now, there's going to be times you're flushed out of the pocket, got to run. Great. Do it then, but then protect yourself. If you lose, I don't care what level, NFL, CFL, UFL, you lose your starting quarterback, usually your season tanks. So why do I want to put my quarterback in vulnerable positions on a play-by-play basis? So I don't know. Like I said, if we're talking about building value, are you going to build your quarterback value from running him 80% of the time? No, there's no other league's going to do that. Could a running back, if you run the ball a ton of times, could he build some value? Sure. So there's certain positions. Could you get some good run blocking film, obviously from the offensive line? Okay, sure. Get a couple scoops in there, get a couple pulls, maybe something that could build a little value. Obviously, the Mike backer, obviously, with all his free reign, you can kind of identify that a little bit more to outside football. And then the secondary, obviously, is, having it be more outside football is a little easier. And that's part of the reason probably where you can use the vet rule and bring in all the young guys, because it's easier from across the spectrum. You come right out, rule books really from indoor leagues came from the CFL back in the day, so it's been refined over the years. But it's true football. So as a quarterback, I can drop back, cover zeros, cover zero, cover ones, cover one, cover twos, cover two. It's the same stuff I've seen outside. So you can use, and it's why they have so many, rookie quarterbacks that start. You can do that. Now, in the arena game, can you do that? Can you throw a rookie out there with these unorthodox defense and tell him, hey, go out there and do your thing? No. He'll throw 50 interceptions because the defenses are unorthodox. But that's what makes our game fun. It's different. And so can you build value? Yeah. But different positions build better value in our game than the IFL and vice versa. But like I said, you really got to be able to coach, our game. It isn't, and I used to think the same. I had a bias, I looked at the game, several times back in the day, and I didn't favor the game. But now that I've been, on this side of it for years now, I absolutely love the game. I think it's a wonderful game, and it makes the sense why, since the '80s, the game was such a huge, fan favorite. And so, yes, there's a long way to get it back to those days where every single arena is packed up and you're playing in these huge arenas. But you know what? Like I said, we've got a great game. We've got a great foundation, and like I said, for the players out there, don't let coaches around other leagues tell you where the best talent is. It's I will tell you the two teams that played in the championship game and they have won were two phenomenal teams, full of some big time talent. So if you look at our championship game, we'll wait to see what the other league's championship game looks like. But like I said, at the end of the day, we all need each other. We all need, like I said, there's nothing wrong with having 3 or 4 leagues. We need these leagues because where else are these players going to go to build value? So don't tell them not to go someplace and then, just for some weird situation. These kids need all of these levels. So for me, if I think you're a better fit in the other leagues, I will let you know that. And I will even call some people and say, hey, I got this kid, can you use him? And you can ask some coaches in that other league. I do it all the time. Hey, you know what? I got this kid. Hey, what do you think? Here's their film. You want them? I do it all the time. So we need each other. There shouldn't be this battle for the fans. Why have a battle so we have fans that battle on both sides? Shouldn't we just love the fact that we've got additional professional sports opportunities for us to go out and watch? I never understand that. Let's be mad. And so my biggest pet peeve, though, is just social media. And I'm not really a social media guy. I just feel like it allows people to have a voice that normally probably wouldn't. And so, and not like when something comes out in the media where there's some fact checking, you can pretty much say anything that you want, and if you say it brash enough or get crazy enough, that people are going to buy what you say and not challenge you on it. And so those are those things. And like I said, it's, believe me, is there anything worse than being a coach and having your schedule change because the team folds? It's the worst thing in the world, because I have a plan that's in place from January on. So anytime there's changes, it hurts. But, for all the negativity, you know what? There's no one league that was awesome from day one. It takes some time to build it. It takes some time to refine your system. It takes some time to find the right people to be involved. And so, but the one thing that I absolutely love about the AF1 is I think we're finally getting there to the right people that are in the front office, and that is going to lead us to where we need to be. We're finally starting to get the owners that understand what it's going to take to make this be A1 professional. So we're on the right path. And so anybody that's trying to be negative about our league, I would just tell you, you're fooling yourself. Yes, has there been some struggles? Sure. Name me a business out there that just came out the gate and was perfect, and I'll gladly go and buy into that business. But if not, it takes time. We've got this great group of people that I highly respect, and we're definitely on the move. We'll see how this offseason shakes up, how things go. But at the end of the day, for you players, there's talent all over the country. Just figure out what side works best for you. But you need the film. So again, find a coach that believes in you. Find a system that works for you. Find a game that works for you. And ultimately, again, I hope all of you young men can find your way up to a higher level and make some more money.
I don't know about you guys, but I'm like about ready to watch some AF1 football right now. So can we just go ahead and skip forward to the 2026 season? Krish, I'm sure you got some questions. Why don't you go ahead and hop in here, buddy?
Yeah, coach, a big part of your coaching staff, in my opinion, was the real assistant coach of the year, Brandon Cisse. Kind of talk about his evolution. Sam's a big Southwest Kansas fan, so we don't need to talk about that rivalry. But, Brandon Cisse, man, like talk about his, evolution kind of into a coach, and you expect him to be a head coach in 2026.
Yeah, just a great maturation process with him. Obviously played for me as a player, even in the whole 23 debacle, came with me down to Orlando. So I've spent a great deal of time with him as a young man in football. So this is a young man that's just as fired up 7 days a week as you can possibly imagine. I mean, he does not have an off switch. It is, he drinks these damn triple espresso shot coffees and gets after it. And so one thing about me is, I've never lost the fire. And so I'm in the office at 5 a.m. I'm grinding until 8, 9 o'clock at night, and I never feel like I don't want to go into work. And so, so being around him and that fire, like I said, I sometimes look at am I sick that I like the way that how fire he is every day? Like, I absolutely love when I hear him screaming and going off I just absolutely, it makes me smile, so he's got a tremendous amount of passion for the game. He's got a very, a great solid history in the game, obviously playing for Texas Tech and playing for us. He's been a part of a lot of championships here up in Albany. But where I saw the biggest growth is, he works with me at Hudson Valley College. And I was watching him all season just work himself up the ranks. How hard he worked. The last two people leave every night was him and I. And it just started to, our desks were not too far away from each other. So I just kept watching, Casey, I'd step into their meetings and just to watch. And, somewhere during the season, I said, hey, I want you to apply for the DC spot next year. And he was, what? Huh? Like, are you serious? I'm like, I'm dead serious. So here's what I want you to do to get yourself prepared. This is what I need from you. And we'll meet on it later. And so I knew that fire was lit when I told him to apply for it. And so I just watched how hard he worked at it. You know, when I told them to put something together, you could just see the passion involved in getting that stuff together. So the interview process was pretty, you know, I already knew I was going to hire him as long as he came with the right, with a plan, as long as he came with some of the things that I had asked for. But it was a no-brainer. We sat in my office for a couple hours and just went over every little detail. But the bigger thing is, you know, and I tell all our young coaches, man, you probably not going to like to work for me. You know, I know everybody, oh, no, I'll work for you, no problem. Not so fast. When we work the kind of hours that I work, and that starts in the off season. Like we work in the off season, you know, we do a Zoom call every single week. It's going to be several hours. You know, I'm gonna have you doing stuff all week. It's a grind, and rightfully so. And so, you know, I always tell people, hey, you know, it's gonna be tough to work for me, but in the end, we'll have success. And so, nobody kind of took that as well as Coach C said. He every step of the way, right by my side, wants to learn. You know, as I tell a lot of young coaches, you know, be careful about trying to skip the process. You know, I became a head coach early in my life, and I honestly say when I first did it, I wasn't ready. And that, like I said, looking back, that hurts me because, you know, I use a line all the time, like, don't wing it. We don't wing anything in Albany. Everything's planned by design. And so I know my first head coaching job, I probably was winging it a little bit, you know, and just to look back is like, and that's why I try to tell kids is don't rush the process. You know, I had a phenomenal, you know, start to my career. I won a lot. And so I got pushed ahead of, you know, of a lot of people in the interviewing process because of all the success I was having. But you're not ready until you're ready. And I think all of us know when we're truly ready. Um, there's nothing worse than standing in front of a group of men and they're asking questions that you don't have the answers to. That's a terrible feeling. And so I tell young coaches, go through the process, no different than the players. The players say, trust the process. Coaches got to trust the process too. You got to find yourself a good mentor. You've got to build good habits. You've got to learn the game a certain way. And then again, you'll ultimately be ready for your own challenges. But, you know, that's what I love about Cisse. He's always like, Coach, no way I can do half the stuff you do. And so he understands that right now it's him being the best version of him and learning this process through and through. And so one day he's going to make a phenomenal head coach. There's no question about it. But he's not going to cheat the process. And I love that I'm able to take in some of these young coaches and teach them how it should be from day one. I think, again, my whole career was my original mentor was a phenomenal winning coach, and I learned that system, and that's what catapulted me to be where I'm at today. So again, I'm very, very proud to build, you know, my coaching tree with some really great human beings, and Coach Cisse will definitely be somebody very special in the future.
Love it. Coach B, do you have anything for Coach Ware?
Hey, Coach Ware touched almost everything I was going to ask on. Me and Chris was talking about this last night about young players, and I told Chris, I don't need dogs. I'd rather have players that we can develop and turn into dogs, because then you put your stamp on it. And that's exactly what Coach Ware said. The main question, I think, where do you see the AF1 going 26 to 27? Do you see the Firebirds staying on top and doing everything you need to do to be the number one brand for all of indoor football?
You know, that's a tough question. A confident me would just be like, yeah, we see ourselves on the top. I'm not going to boldly say that. What I will say is this: the system that I've built, the ownership group that we have, the community we have in Albany, let's just say that's conducive for success. And so we put in a great deal of time, a great deal of energy. We treat players as true professionals, but we work hard. And so when you do those things, when you have all of those elements in place, it's tough not to be in the mix of winning every single year. You know, it's no different than somebody like what Kevin Guy's done in Arizona. When you build a system and you can put the pieces in, you have all the elements there, It's hard to be knocked off the totem pole. Can it be done? Of course it could. Do I plan on allowing it to happen and allowing someone else to come creep up and try to take over the totem pole? Absolutely not. I'm gonna give you everything I got. I'm gonna recruit every single wonderful ball player that I want to be around. I'm gonna develop as many kids as I can. Like I said, if you look at our teams have been so different every single year. So I think, when we look at things with that holistic view, look at every single team we have. They're all so different. And so the system obviously works. It doesn't matter who it is. The system is there. The system works. And we continue to have success. And so I don't see me slowing down anytime soon. Like I said, I think I have another 10, 15 years minimum left in me. So I'm going to give this football community 10, 15 more years of everything I got. And I believe that we'll compete for a championship every single one of those years.
Something tells me you live up to that expectation. So I'm going to leave you with a kind of an off the wall question. Maybe you've noticed, maybe you have not, but there is going to be a new indoor football team in Pueblo called the Pueblo Punishers. Obviously, I'm very well aware of your background with CSU Pueblo, being in Colorado with the Crush for a while there and everything else. Have they at any point reached out to you about the head coaching position, or was it even a conversation that came across your desk?
No, I really found that out just kind of scrolling around on Facebook, and I seen a post about it. That community is phenomenal. Pueblo is a phenomenal place. I mean, they've had semi-pro teams that packed stadiums. They, obviously CSU Pueblo, again, being a part of helping to build that program was phenomenally special. You know, it's a small community, but boy, do they love football. And so, be interesting. Like I said, I haven't really heard them talk about what league they're going into. I haven't really heard their name come across my desk on anything. Like I said, if they contact me about the head coaching position, I'm always a professional person. I will always sit down and discuss anything with anybody. But my owners know I love being here. Like I said, I coach. I have a college team here. I have the Firebirds, and I have a wonderful group of people and a wonderful fan base that absolutely embraces me and my family. It would take a really, crazy offer to get me to walk away from it. And like I said, I'm just not cheap. So at the end of the day, you'd have to call me and really have to put it on the line to get me to want to walk away from a really good situation. So as I always tell everybody, I don't coach with one foot out the door. I'm never worried about all the other, somebody called and told me so-and-so is talking about you. I don't care. If you call me for an interview, I will sit down and discuss anything. I think it's a professional thing to do. But as I say, it would take a really, really crazy offer to get me to walk away from Albany, a place that I absolutely adore.
Absolutely. You guys have a pretty awesome setup in Albany. So I could imagine it would be very difficult to want to leave anywhere, or, leave there for anywhere. So I definitely understand that. But Coach Ware, we really appreciate your time today. This has been a great interview, as always, with you. Would love to have you back on in the future, but definitely don't want to take up too much of your time today. Is there anybody you want to shout out or anything you want to say to the fans of the Firebirds?
But again, it's time to get behind the AF1. We've got the right people in place. A bunch of people that absolutely love arena football. We're starting to attract the right ownership groups, bringing in people like Gruden and Waltrip and these great individuals that understand professional sports at the highest level. We're getting ready to go on this run of really putting together some real special things. For me, it's just hey, let's build our quality. I don't care about quantity. What I want to do is I want to face great football coaches, great football teams week in and week out. I want it to be a chess game every week, and that's all I care about, from my standpoint. But to the fans, again, appreciate all of you. I don't care what team you root for. As long as you're rooting for some kind of inside football, I absolutely appreciate and respect you. We need you. This level is obviously an expensive, tough business. But our players need this level to keep going. so we have guys that can move on to the higher levels, get up to the UFL and the CFL. And so this level is very much needed. It's very important to a lot of people, very important to a lot of families as well. So appreciate all the support. Albany Firebirds, we're already on the clock for 2026. We're already evaluating our systems, getting ready for 2026 season. We will see you in 2026 in a more exciting AF1 league and football. We're just super excited about the direction that we're headed in. So appreciate everybody, and thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your time today, Coach, and looking forward to the 2026 season, as I said before. Looking forward to speaking with you again in the future. Have a great rest of your day.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Absolutely. We are going to hit a quick commercial break, and then we will be back to discuss the NAL. So stick around for that. If there's any NAL subjects you want to hear us talk about, go ahead and drop those in the comments, and we will get to them. And other than that, we'll see you in a moment.
I'm just being myself, cool as can be. When I'm being myself, you wish you were me. It's so easy. Get out your own way. It's just so easy.
Get in the game at BetUS, America's favorite sportsbook. Over 50 sports, live betting, online casino, horse racing, esports, and more. Start now and enjoy easy deposits, fastest payouts, and the biggest bonuses. And for over 25 years, BetUS is a name you can trust. Mention TV 150 now and get up to 150% in bonuses. BetUS, we've got your game. Call or visit BetUS.com now to join.
Awesome. Well, we are going to discuss some NAL action. I believe we might have a guest popping up. We will see if they are able to come on. Wiki Drive says, any updates on expected NAL expansion and when they plan on announcing? Well, I will give you one update. We had previously heard that the NAL was hoping to have 2 more teams announced by this point. And obviously at this point, it has not happened yet. We do know that there's a good chance that the Pueblo Punishers are announcing fairly soon. I'm not sure if the Dallas Bulls are actually going to the NAL or what happens with the Carolina Cobras or if they come back under another name as of right now. But it definitely sounds like there will be at least the Punishers announcement coming over the next month or so, and hopefully sooner rather than later. It's kind of a foregone conclusion which league they're going to play in. Again, it would be kind of silly for them to play in any other league other than the NAL due to the regional playing partners that they have in the league. So as far as that goes, I expect an announcement fairly quickly from them. Haven't really heard much about the Dallas Bulls yet. And I've heard that Carolina, I don't want to say they've gone quiet, but they haven't been as active since the season ended than, when they were, putting up active posts quite frequently before. So little quiet on that front. So we'll see how things go there. But Krish, any subjects on the NAL you wanted to discuss? I know we're kind of getting here deep into free agency already with teams starting to sign unrestricted free agents from other leagues and free agents that did not finish the season on NAL rosters. But anything in particular you want to discuss?
Yeah, I did want to bring up West Texas. I give them a lot of crap, but, they posted a tryout flyer the other day, and they're taking payment through Cash App and Venmo. Is that something that either of you have ever seen before, and is that a normal practice in arena indoor football?
I think it's just available. I can understand the concerns or whatever, but at the same time, everybody these days carries Cash App or Venmo on their phone, and it's probably just the easiest possible way for them to get payments. Honestly, I could see the concerns there for sure. Obviously, you hear Cash App or hear Venmo, and you kind of wonder about the professionalism of it, but at the same time, I don't think that's a concern. To throw something out there, we literally use all of it. Venmo, Cash App, PayPal, Zelle, all of it. I've used every single one of those apps for stuff at points in time. So I think this is them just trying to make it accessible. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, no, I mean, I just was kind of surprised by that. I've never seen that before, and so maybe that's a new wave. I know if I was a player, I would be a little skeptical, right? Cash App, like you said, but it could be a new way. I mean, I think another thing is Omaha beef. They're making moves already. Do you think Omaha has an advantage over other teams, right? Like because they're out there, they're already signing guys who are high level, in the NAL, right? And they're using the rule to the advantage, right? You can sign a guy before, if they didn't finish on a roster. How much of a competitive advantage do you think that gives them, the fact that they started their recruiting early?
Well, as far as a competitive advantage, I think it gives them a huge one. Getting out in front of recruiting is always a good idea because I think you're able to get some guys to commit very early when they may not need to make a decision for months. We're talking about literally we won't even see training camp until like early February, right? So we're talking another 6-7 months before we even start really getting into the thick of things for the NAL. So I think them jumping out in front of it is awesome. It's smart. I would have some questions down the line if they start, releasing guys because, better talent comes available down the road or, stuff like that. But knowing Coach Negron and knowing the way he operates and the way CJ Kane operates and stuff like that, I don't think that's how they're going to be. I think they're targeting guys they know they want, and it's going to be a pretty rounded out roster from everything that I've seen and heard so far about who's going in there. So I think they're smart, right? I mean, at the end of the day, you have one job, and that's to put together the best possible team you can. You have from the end of the season all the way till the next season to either be scouting, recruiting, talking to players, and then like they have been, going to games. Take advantage of the fact that other leagues are still playing games. Go scout those players, see what they can do, see if they're as good or better than the players that you've got on the roster. I think, if anything, the one thing that I've liked from the Beef, and I'm going off on a little bit of a tangent here, is they're not claiming to be the smartest people in the room, right? So when it comes to the recruiting perspective, they're looking at an Ozarks Lunkers team. They're looking at a Duluth Harbor Monsters team. They're looking across the TAL. They went to the Kansas City Goats game recently, right? So, I mean, they're looking around to these other leagues, realizing that, hey, we're pretty damn good at recruiting, but we're not going to find every diamond in the rough out there. So let's see what these guys are doing in other leagues, because you never know when you're going to find a Matt Rush or something like that, where he's a star and he just never got discovered because he hasn't had that opportunity until the TAL really came around. So I think it's really incredibly smart by the Beef, and I think it's going to pay off in the long run.
I think they're doing a good job too, creating a balanced receiving core, right? I mean, you see Cordell Comus, right, taller receiver, July Flowers, shorter, faster receiver. And I think that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to build a team with balance. And for me, when I see him going out, like you said, going to Ozarks, going to St. Joe, that requires effort, and that shows like he really takes this seriously, like a full-time job. And I feel like Coach B, we always talk about it. There's certain coaches in the industry, they don't take it as a full-time job. You know what I mean? They just roll out of bed and they sign whoever, right? They sign their homeboy, their friends. But what he's doing is he's taking it to another level. And his staff, I see how hard CJ works, right? If you think, man, like CJ Kane is already my front runner for assistant coach of the year, and the season hasn't started. I'm partly biased, but I see how much work he's putting in. When we talk daily, right? And he's really going hard at it. So I'm excited. I think the Beef are going to be like a powerhouse in 2026 because of just them getting an early start. It allowed you to get an early start on your scheme too, right? You can build a scheme around the guys you already have in the building without, you don't have to wait till November, December. You can already start it now. So that gives you an advantage. And if you need to make adjustments based on the other coaches that come in the league, you can make adjustments accordingly instead of having to wait till training camp week 1, week 2, week 3 to find out the hard way. You're doing it the easy way now. So I think what they're doing is going to become the new blueprint for recruiting long term, in my opinion.
I
It's
wholeheartedly
been
agree.
going for a while, Sam. That's how you got to do it. That's the right way to do it. Much as I give Ricky crap, 90% of well, I say 60% of what I did in Council Bluff was out of his playbook, out of Coach Ware's playbook, out of Coach Heron O'Neill's playbook, and I put them together. I told Chris last year we actually was on the road scouting at colleges at Northwest, and Chris was like, "What do you got to do? We going to get players that most people wouldn't think to go get. Some of these players ain't gonna get drafted or go CFL, XFL, whatever, so they gonna still want to play. You recruit early to fill your roster, then you tweak your roster as the season goes on. And I think the Beef are doing it the exact right way. They're going out, watching other leagues, scouting, putting together a board. Then they're gonna find what fits their team and what fits their niche. That's the proper way to do it.
Completely agree. Coach B, how often have you talked to players that are a year or maybe even 2 years before they're even graduated from college, when it comes to recruiting?
All the time. I got a list. I got a board right now where it's junior college, top junior college prospects, top juniors and seniors from college. Then I got the top UFL, CFL, and the top free agents that got released from the NFL. I got a Rolodex of NFL scouts, UFL scouts that I talk to and see about players because NFL teams hold private workouts all the time. So we don't get to see some of those GMs or people who come and work out might not fit their scheme, but fit our scheme. Like Coach Ware said, I feel like all leagues are the same and they built different in the ring. It's just about me and Chris say it all the time. Players are going to go play for who they want to go play for. It's about the coach. I might can get a Sam Castronova to come and play for me for $400 because he loves it and buys into my system. Where another coach, you're going to have to pay him $3,000, $4,000. It's just about who you are and being a person. And when you recruit, you got to be real with yourself and be real with the players. And they gonna buy into your system if they feel you're gonna really get behind them and be the best for them.
And I can't wait for some of the signings to be announced for the Beef. Like, I don't think you guys understand like the type of talent they're bringing this year. Like, it's like this is unbelievable. The guys they're gonna bring in, and you get a guy like Javay Flowers, right? Jarad's on a peak. You know what I mean? He's going into year 3. Year 1 didn't go as planned. Year 2 was a bounce back for him, but still he didn't get. He wasn't used as he should have been. Year 3 is kind of where it all comes together. And so finding hungry guys that fit your system is like the number one way to go. And so I can take a lot. We can learn a lot from the way they're building their team. Like, I think it's good. When you look at NAL though, right, and you see no vet rule, right? Do you think that's something they add long term, maybe as the league continues to grow, or no?
Me personally, no. I think that overcomplicates things. I get that you want a younger player base, obviously, because you want to, you want to be able to parade those signings to the next level, right? And we've talked about it at length here on this show that a lot of these NAL teams haven't had the success elevating players that some IFL teams have had. But at the same time, I think that's partially, I don't want to say by design, but it's partially by design. You want guys to stick around at the end of the day if they don't have those opportunities at the next level. And, for whatever reason, we just haven't seen that as much in the NAL. And maybe it's because they have more veterans. But at the end of the day, I think having those veterans and having more flexibility to sign veterans, I think makes for a better product overall when you look at these schemes and these offenses. And it's not, that's no disrespect intended toward the IFL, but Coach Ware said it right. You bring in these vet guys that know what to expect from indoor football. They've been there, they've done that. They may have even played in some of the schemes that you want to incorporate. And if that's the case, then you're going to have a lot easier process to get to the point of full install and be ready for the season. So I think there's some advantages to that. But at the same time, I think that it needs to be a happy balance. For any league like this to succeed, I believe that you need to understand that your place in the world. And maybe this is going to sound antiquated, but at the same time, like it's arena football. At the end of the day, it should be considered a stepping stone for players, or for people who are independently wealthy and they can afford to continue playing arena football for many years and make a career out of it. That's awesome. That's great for them, but they should not be the norm. For the entire league. You have to have a balance. You have to have players that are going to make it to the next level, because that's going to bring in those next group of recruits to be trying to make that jump themselves. If you're automatically always the third and fourth league when it comes to elevating players, you're going to have some struggles getting some of the highest end talent because they don't see that pathway to the next level.
I totally agree with you, Sam. I feel like I personally don't agree with the having a veteran rule. I think it's a mixture of veterans and and your new guys, because you got to build that nucleus. Some of these guys grew up watching them veterans. You got to realize some of these veterans this they NFL. So I don't want to say because he a veteran or I got this many veterans. I don't want to bring this guy in because if he a guy who I know is going to lead my locker room and bring that character and that structure that I need, we should have him. It's a big deal. Like I took a pay cut last year in Iowa because I wanted a recruiting budget, because I did want to recruit right and I wanted to market in the part. So those are the type of things when you a coach you got to look at too, like how you gonna structure your team to fit and build your team right. And I saw Coach Davis say he don't agree. Sam might not come and play for 400, but he will come and play for the coach he want to come for. Sometimes it ain't always about the money; it's about the person.
No, and I want to use, I think Sam might not be the best example for that, but Jen and Delora. Let's talk about Jen. You want to talk about someone who, was done wrong at Texas State, transferred there, was going to be the starter, would have, if Jen Delora played that year at Texas State, he would be in that NFL. I'm not going to hide that. Like he would have lit up the Texas State. He would have lit up that conference. What he did at Arizona, what he did at Washington State. He has a long track record, right? And so for him, after that, now he just wants to play ball. Now he's just hungry for that opportunity. And so you get a guy like that to come in the IFL and look how well he's played. 28 touchdowns, 1 interception. You're getting that product of him being hungry. So I think that's what Coach B meant to say, like, certain guys, it might not be about the money right away. Long term, of course, it becomes about the money. Of course. If I'm balling out long term, I'm going to want my paper. That's how football is at any level. So, I think we'll start to see more guys, I feel like, in the era of NIL, and I relate this because we'll see guys for, NIL, making money in college. They might not need to make money at this level. They might be able to come and play for less because they're already, financially set. They have other sponsorships going on outside of football. And so we'll see those high-level guys come into indoor football and say, man, I just want to play. I just want to play ball. I believe that. So
The NIL does change the game now, Sam. He made a great point because these college athletes is making more than us professional athletes sometimes right now. So you probably can get them if they don't make the league for a little bit of nothing because they still trying to play and get filmed, and they already got a bag. That's
a good point. That's a really good point, Krish. I had not considered that previously, but that's a good point. Coach Davis, we're trying to save that for the IFL section, so just hold on. I got a lot for Krish today. Don't worry. He knows it's coming. I'm just trying to be nice so far.
Let's go, Green Bay.
But look, Coach Trey decided to join the chat as well. So another goat in the chat. Appreciate all you guys tuning in, and if you haven't done so already, make sure to hit that like button. Really appreciate the support and you guys always tuning in. Honestly, it's awesome to see the audience on this show because
I see you. Hold on, man. Coach Tony trying to chime in. Man, Khalil Finley had trouble last night against us. So don't, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, come on, like we're not gonna, come on, man. Really, like come on.
Love it. Love it. Anything else specific NAL that you want to discuss? I mean, I know we're kind of. I want to backtrack a little bit. We're kind of sitting here lauding on the beef about being ahead of the game and having half their roster built this early in the season and stuff. But Krish, you've been very critical about some of the players that Amarillo has brought in so far. Has anything they've done recently changed your opinion, or do you see what they're doing being the same type of approach as Omaha in terms of trying to get out in front of roster building?
No, like Amarillo is going to be like. Can people just take a step back? And a lot of times, man, as fans of the sport, we get excited. We see player signings. Oh my God, let's take a step back. Let's look at the players they're signing. Amarillo is going to be ass. Like we all know this. Like this is a well-known fact. It's not a statement. It's a fact. They're talking about dream team, championship team. No, like I'm just being honest. Like I don't think they'll be good at all. I don't think they'll be able to compete. I think Coach McGraw will put the belt to them like he's going to do to a bunch of other teams. They're going to be at Shreveport level. That's what they're going to be. So, I mean, that's what the team's going to be. Don't expect anything great out of Amarillo. I'm just being honest. I mean, Billy Perry needs to learn how to be a play caller in professional football. He's never done that before. So that's going to be difficult for him. And the defense, I expect that defense to be one of the worst in the NAL. So, they want to build with their friends. They want it to be a community feel. I respect it, but don't be talking championship because you're not going to get anywhere close. You won't make the playoffs. You'll be, below the pack. So enjoy your spot from the bottom because that's where you're going to be. So,
Chris, you got to realize every team who comes aboard, their mindset is going to be a champion. I don't think any organization starts going to say, "Oh, I'm not going to be a champion."
Sign players
So,
that know how to win championship. Then sign players that don't sign players like Wolf Tang guys, like Tyrone Washington type guys. Sign high level caliber.
It don't matter what agency you with. It's the player. It's not the agency. So you can't blame the agency because the player signed there. It's the player though. Who got to produce no matter what. Just like we coach we call a play. We can call 10 different plays, but the player still got to execute them, buddy. At the end of the day. So we can't. What I say is it goes back to what Coach Ware said earlier. The caliber of players. I don't think the caliber of players that West Texas are signing are on the same level as Omaha players. Are they going to be able to compete? We don't know yet. They might be able to have a well coached staff who can give them a game plan to keep them in the game. So it's just up to what the coaches do with the roster they building right now, in my eyes, down there.
Let's keep in mind, too, this is very early in the process, right? So you're going to want to grab some local players. You're going to want to grab guys that have some sort of audience in that market that you're going into. So I kind of understand it from a marketing perspective. And you want to stay in the news, which that's the main thing that I credit Amarillo with so far is I think they've literally posted almost every day on social media since they announced their team and what league they were going into. And even before then, they were posting stuff. It just was vague and wasn't, necessarily directly related to the NAL. So I personally think that, it's hard to judge what Amarillo is going to be currently, but I also think that there's some intelligence behind the way they're building. Obviously we talk about it all the time. A lot of these owners jump into this sport and they bite off more than they can chew immediately, thinking that they're going to run the table and go for a championship in year one, like Beaumont did. Beaumont's situation is unique. It's also very expensive. Let's not, pulling punches here. That was a large payroll for that team. Probably well over the limit for the NAL, if I'm being honest. A lot of under the table deals there, I'm sure. But with that being said, how does that affect the longevity of Amarillo? They don't have an NFL owner with deep pockets in their ownership group, or someone who can just throw money at the problem. So yeah, you have to be a little bit more measured in your approach. You have to bring in, local players, maybe prevent some of the housing costs that you need to have. Maybe they play for a lot cheaper because they're local, and they don't have to go anywhere or travel anywhere except for on away games. So stuff like that factors in pretty heavily, when you're first starting off a team. Do we ultimately see them, biting the bullet in year one and they don't have a very good season? It's possible, for sure. But at the end of the day, I mean, if I'm looking at it from a zoomed out perspective, I would prefer them to take this measured approach, at least in year one back. Obviously, as they progress, I would like to see them, hopefully build their roster a little bit differently and bring in some higher level talent guys. But we're not even that far into it yet. So those signings might be coming. It might be a balance of local guys and out of state guys. So that's part of it that I just don't think we've seen enough from the team so far to have that much of a definitive answer on what they're going to be so far.
Sam, free agency technically hasn't even really started yet. So you got to give them time. This season's still going on. How you know they're not getting IFL, TAL, or CFL players?
Yeah, and that's another thing entirely as well. What they're announcing right now is the players that are currently free agents, guys that are allowed to sign, that there aren't with other leagues currently or stuff like that. So, like you said, there might be a pipeline of players coming that we're not even aware of yet currently. So we'll see. There's a long way to go before the even NAL free agency technically starts. So, we'll see what they come up with over the next couple of months, and maybe I'll be swayed to have the same opinion as Krish long term. If signings continue the way they are, probably will have the same opinion as Krish. But as of right now, I think it's just a little early is all. Any other NAL subjects before we kick over to IFL?
I like how they constantly building. I don't think they're done adding teams yet. I think the NAL is slowly moving, but quietly.
I agree. This one's interesting. I have one kid who was told his NIL value was 1.2 million. That's basically $500,000 in 24 hours if he wants it. That's insane. Coach Trey says, I live in West Texas and in Amarillo all the time. Yeah, definitely. If you're a member of the Warbirds organization, you happen to be watching. If you haven't talked to Coach Trey Ivory, I highly recommend at least contacting him, seeing, if you guys can work something out. He's
a head coach. I mean, I'm just be honest. Like he was, he was the head coach at Amarillo Venom, and obviously that went to shreds. But like he should have been the head coach. I'm just being honest. Like he's had a proven track record. He's had a proven look what he's doing with the Iowa Rule. Look at the talent they have in the Iowa Rule compared to other teams. It's not talent; it's the coaching. The coaching is what makes that team, a high level, and that's why they were able to score. I mean, they outcoached. I love Tay. We'll get TAL when we talk about it later, but Tay Brooks was outcoached last night in the second half of the football game. So that's what it is.
Well, we already did the TAL section, so I don't really want to loop back around. But Ricky says people are entitled to their opinion and might be warranted for a team with no history or track record, but to question a team with a proven track record, one who makes the championship game for 5 straight seasons, other teams might want to look at what they're doing. Completely agree. I'm a firm believer in if you want to be the best, you have to see what the best are doing. You have to train with the best. So, if that's the case, then you need to be looking at your Omahas, your Beaumonts, your Albany Firebirds, these teams that are constantly good in their leagues, and see what they're doing and adapt that to your program, because chances are it's going to work. It's been a tried and true formula. These kids being offered 40% of the NIL value to take the pay up front. So essentially at this point, college students are not only getting a multi-million-dollar contract, they're getting signing bonuses of 6 figures. That's insanity.
Not even that, Sam. I think it just got passed yesterday. It'll be announced here coming up. They now have to be employees of the athletic department.
Interesting. I mean, at that point, that makes sense. I mean, they should be, having to funnel that money through the program, pay taxes on it, and all this. Oh, this is the back pay lawsuit? What? I if you can't tell, I don't I don't follow college football all that closely, but this stuff is out of control. It's crazy to see all these kids getting this money before they even leave college, and I love it. You know, I mean, you put your body on the line for a college university. I feel you should get something in return. A free education's great, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, that doesn't pay your bills. That doesn't feed you, you know. So at the end of the day, they should be getting something for their efforts. But some of this stuff is getting a little crazy. There needs to
Well,
be
what
some structure.
Sam? What about us? We played D1 ball. I played at a prestigious university. We busted our butt. We don't get paid for nothing. So
And that
I
was a
feel like,
problem.
yeah, I feel like they shouldn't get paid as much as they getting paid. They have to pay their dues like we paid our dues. I feel like back in the day when we played, college football was way more hungrier because people wanted to get to the NFL and they played with their hearts on their sleeves.
Oh, I agree. And don't get me wrong, you can see how some of these kids are approaching it at this point, and how they're basically using it as their meal ticket to set themselves up for the future, regardless of if they play professional football or not. And honestly, I can't fault them for that either. Go to school, you know, put your body on the line for that school. In my mind, you should get something for it. And you know, it's not. It doesn't make it right that it's been, you know, there's been so many years of kids being taken advantage of in that sense. You know, this has been a multi-billion-dollar industry for years at this point. So the fact that this is just all coming around now is kind of silly, but I still think there needs to be some sort of structure. Some of these numbers are crazy. And at the same time, you know, I think there is going to be a wave of kids that decide that, you know, I'm going to play as long as I possibly can in college, get all the money I can, and then basically just disappear into my working life at that point. So it's been interesting to see how this affects everything.
I'm starting to think that's why Frisco folded and that Ohio team never came that the Germains own because they giving all their money to Ohio State players in those NIL deals. You see the cars that the Germain dealership is giving those players, luxury Bentleys and stuff, but you could never bring that Ohio team to fruition. And then one of the best teams in the IFL, Frisco, you fold, but you're giving millions of dollars to college kids. This is crazy.
It's crazy for sure. Coach Davis says this is for the NCAA settlement. They just happened for the past 15 years if you played college football. So, I mean, if that's the case, there's a lot of players that are going to be getting back pay throughout the past couple of seasons. So that'll be interesting. I see you raising your hand there, Coach B. So you're going to have to get in on that lawsuit.
I didn't know it was that. Oh, yeah, I'm gonna have to get in on that because I played from 2004 to 2008. So yeah,
There you go. Better hurry up. Or wait, 2008. That's 17 years ago. You're just slightly outside of it. You're going to have to go file another ruling to get it to extended to 20 years, and then you'll be golden. That'll be the next argument anyway. I love it. But let's hit a quick commercial break, and we'll go over to the IFL and talk about the Massachusetts Pirates.
the Mass Pirate.
This is Current. It's the card my parents used to pay me for mowing the lawn, running errands, and doing well in school.
Oh, wow.
This is the card I used when we got the idea to make our own clothes. And we spread the word, drove downtown, and sold everything we made. This is the card I used to do the things that really matter. This is Current. Visit current.com and download the app for free today.
Krish conveniently turned off his camera for this segment, but
Dad,
just kidding.
happy birthday.
Thanks, bud. Sorry, my kid's telling everybody happy birthday. So happy birthday to everybody out there whose birthday is today. Chandler says hi. On that note, let's talk about this game last night. Krish, I'll let you start. I'll try and keep it light on you today, but you got a little bit coming.
I don't even know how to start, man. You know,
I recommend taking a deep breath,
yeah,
gathering your emotions, so you don't
Um,
tear up a little bit while you're talking.
right. Look,
Hold your head up high. I told you that last night. Win, lose, or draw, hold your head up high. You talk that talk, you got to walk that walk.
no, I know, but look, in 2018, man, a 27-year-old had a dream, right? And that dream was to, start an indoor football team, and bring an indoor football team to the community. And he did that. And he, became the youngest owner and GM in the history of the NAL, and I believe the history of any indoor professional league in the country. And he built a standard, and the standard is to compete in the playoffs and compete for a championship every year. Obviously, this year we started off rough. We started off 2-5. This league, you can't. I told our guys in 2021 when we won a championship, I said to the guys who were coming back in 22, man, I remember one of my guys, linebacker, all pro IFL linebacker, I said, man, this league is only going to continue to get better. It's only going to continue to grow. The coaches are only going to, continue to get better, continue to improve. And unfortunately, we ran into a trap early on. We started 2-5. Coach Menas came in. I feel like he came in at a time where he didn't have a lot of time to implement his system, and that showed. The first game in Tucson, we got 3 turnovers. On defense, we came out hot. Kenzie had the worst game of the season. He went 7 for 29. And then we go to Northern Arizona. He has an even worse game. He throws 3 interceptions. And after the bye, man, I remember walking in the Jacksonville game, and I said, man, like, we got guys on defense. We got enough on defense to make plays. We got enough guys on defense to contribute. And we are the number 1 on defense in the league by stat-wise. So I don't want to hear about, our defense. Our defense was never the issue. It's never been the issue all season. It hasn't. Obviously, you look at the offensive side, man, we got the best receivers. I feel like we have a great receiving core. Tio Redding, Stephen McBride, Dante Demas. One thing I would have changed about the receiving core, and again, it's in my opinion, and I'm never going to question. And that's another thing, and I'll get to that, Coach. I'm just, let me work my way through, man. I can't imagine how you were after last year's playoff loss. It takes time to work through. So, I think it, look, man, like, one of those things is, we have the talent on the receiving core. We have Dante Demas. And the thing is, I wish we went out and added a veteran receiver. One more. When Zico went down, Zico hasn't been the same this season. He's been hurt. He's been inconsistent. That's just a reality. That's a fact. He knows it too, right? So we should have went out and got a DJ Myers. We should have went out and got a Tamorian Terry. We should have got a veteran receiver to come in and be more of a local leader. We should have done that. At the quarterback position, man, I love Kenji. I love what he's been able to do since the bye. But we need more from him. We needed more from him the entire season. We need more. We need more consistency. I've been saying this since even when we beat Iowa. I said to someone, I said, man, like, he can't be turning over the ball 3 times against good teams, And I think sometimes Kenji, he's learning how to play this game. But at the end of the day, he's a pro, right? And pros got to be able to take hits. And sometimes I think he makes business decisions on the field, like sliding before 4th down, not taking a hit here, not taking a hit there, fitting the ball in tight windows in certain scenarios. And we're wasting possessions. There's games this year where we've gotten 4 stops. That Quad City game at home, that Quad City game, we actually gave it 49 points because one of them was on the pick 6, but that's fine. Quad City game, man, I mean, he threw 2 picks. We stopped him 4 times. So if you can't execute, And when we were in Tucson, I had a thought, and I told one of our fans this too. I said, we should have went out and signed Drew Powell. We had an opportunity to get Drew Powell here. And if we got Drew Powell here, man, he could have came in and he could have mentored Kenji to a high level. And I feel like Drew Powell could have came in and been our leader in that locker room, man. And I wish we would have went out and got a veteran veteran quarterback early on. That's the only thing I would change. Other than that, I think this roster has been assembled great. As far as our coaching staff, man, Coach Manas, I love Coach Manas, and he is my full support to be our head coach in 2026. I think he's done everything. He's come in. This is a tough situation, man. This is a tough environment. The reality is it's a competitive environment to coaching. And that everyone knows that, right? You got to be up to a certain standard. Coach Manas came in and accepted the challenge, and he's done a great job. And I see the change in the team. I've seen it. I've seen the change on defense. I've seen the mentality change. He's done something special. It might not show right away, and it takes time to build culture. Culture doesn't build overnight. You know what I mean? And you're building something. And I believe Coach Manas is building something. And I really hope he's back in 2026. We just need some stability. That's all we need. And I'm just being honest, we're right here, right? Obviously it looks like we're about to miss the playoffs this year, and I've accepted that. But we just need a little more stability. Maybe bring in a coach who was with us. You got to understand, Amir was our coach. Well, Amir, you want to talk about Amir, right? He abandoned us. So that's it. And Coach Graves, we needed to make that change when we were 2-3, right? The team wasn't up to standard. So obviously, yes, changing coaches is not really the long-term solution.
You told me Coach Griggs was the guy.
Well, that was before our Green Bay game, and I saw there was holes in the program at the Green Bay game.
You're not gonna give the man a full season to go through the season and coach.
He had a full season in Duke City, so he had all the resources to be successful. He had a great job. We wish him luck on his future endeavors. I think he's going to be a great coach going forward. But maybe Coach O'Neill can bring him in to help out the defense. But I think the thing is that, look, man, like at the end of the day, like I'm hurt, man, and I love this team, and I'm always going to support my boys. We're 70-46 all time for a reason. This is no bum program. This is a standard. We have the third highest winning percentage in the IFL for a reason. So, just put some respect on it. Still, you should still respect it. Every team.
Did y'all make the playoffs, bro?
Every dynasty has one bad year. That's it. So we're building, man. We're building for the future. I feel like the bounce back is going to be even greater. Like I told our D-line coach last night, man, I said, we're about to get the last laugh. So they're laughing at us now. We will keep receipts, and we're going to 2026 and come back even stronger. So that's it, man. We'll be fine, man. We'll be fine. We're fighting, man. Jawad is a fighter. Jawad is the best GM in the league for a reason. So I stand by him, and whatever the team makes going forward, it'll be the best for the football team. So just hope for the best.
All right, that was interesting explanation. Lots of comments during that, so we might have to have Krish do monologues more often, just for the engagement purposes, because I think people seem to enjoy that. And Krish has thick skin, so he can take some stuff. So I appreciate that about Krish as well. Look, let's be honest. I think if they brought in Coach Manas earlier in the season, we wouldn't be looking at a 7-8 team currently. I think that if Jawad is smart, which I fully believe he is, I think he's quite frankly one of the best owners in the game, and honestly knows what he's doing when it comes to a football team. I think you do everything in your power possible to bring back Tom Manas for 2026. I think that, it may not have happened immediately this season, but I think if you give him a full off season, to build that coaching staff, get the guys in there that he wants, and then you build a cohesive environment where him and Jawad can work together for talent evaluation and roster building. I think that you could have a championship formula. And I'm not just saying that because Krish is here and he just got a whole line of comments, but I really think that could be the formula for Massachusetts. But you need somebody who's going to come in and set a tone, and I think Coach Manas can do that. I think there were some situations this year that showed that, Mass needs a little bit of a culture change. And I think Jawad realized that, brought in Tom Manas. Now he just needs to stick with that plan going forward. However that looks, he needs to make that happen. So as far as that goes, I think they're on the right track. I think Massachusetts is going to be a great team in 2026. But it definitely came too little too late this season. Now, I'd be lying if I didn't take a little bit of satisfaction in the fact that I've been saying this team was going to be 8-8 all season long, and here we are at 7-8 with one game to go. But at the same time, I just like to give Krish a hard time. So I was not rooting for
you gotta execute, man. It comes down to execution, fundamentals, and I mean, last game against Tulsa, man, we had the game-winning field goal, right? We should have got Josh closer to make that kick, and it's a 30-yard field goal when it could have been a 22-21. So, you know what I mean? Like, I feel good, man. I feel good about the future. All you can do is smile and move on. So I hope the team comes back next year stronger. I do have to mention that we are still in the playoffs currently. So if Tulsa loses 2 games and we win on Friday, or when we win on Friday, we'll make the playoffs. So it's not totally over yet, but I've accepted the fact that this might not be our year, and that's fine. Again, every dynasty has an off year, so we'll be back next year and we'll be ready. We still have a higher winning percentage than most of these teams out here. So he built a good program. We just need one thing to get us to the next level, and we'll be right there. Just a little stability, and we'll be right back.
I don't agree, Sam. I told Chris last night. I think they should get a new coach and let him get in there for a full year off season, do his thing, and be able to work with y'all and do what he got to do. Me saying that is because Minaj had his chance in San Antonio. His system, he didn't do it down there. He went in there. They were in a position where he could have turned it around, and it just did it. Either I'm not saying it's him, or I'm just saying it's either the coaching staff or something that those players are not following. I do think it's kind of hard when you coming in with somebody else's players too. Not even Greg's players; those was Amir players.
No, that's not true at all, Coach. Come on. I mean,
I think it's a different story if Amir coaching that team too, though. I think it's a
different
different rep.
It was his choice not to come, so he abandoned us. That's what it is. And at the end of the day, look, Amir didn't show up. 4 out of 8 guys, that's a fact, moved up or moved on to other opportunities, right? When you have 2 of your DBs before the season, one refused to report for a personal reason, the other one moves up, and then one gets hurt during the first game, right? That's adversity, man. And so people can talk about us, whatever. Like, we've gone through the most adversity in the IFL this year, and that's a fact. Anyone can, and that's the fact, man. Like, I mean, you guys can say whatever you want. That coaching change is not easy. And the guys battled through, and I'm proud of them for battling through. And that's it. Like, I mean,
you had 3 coaches in one season, bro.
No, we had 2, actually. No, I don't count Amir. Amir never showed up.
Oh, come on. You have to count him. He was announced and hired.
He was announced hired. He was working. He was recruiting players. You gotta realize most of those.
Come on, man. Like, Jawad builds the most competitive roster in the country every year.
You don't think he concurs with his head coaches on players he's bringing in? Come on, be real, bro. They gotta fit the coach's system too.
But we don't. The players play for the Pirates, man. They play for the brand. You know what I mean? Like, yes, it's sure certain players fit the system. He brought in certain guys, right? He brought in Javon Tucker. Javon Tucker was one of the guys he brought in. Javon Tucker lasted 8 weeks here, right? That's the reality. It's like it takes a standard to play here. Like, there's some guys on Vegas, man. They wouldn't even be practice players here. Like, that's the reality, man. Like,
we was talking yesterday. Kaiser won a championship there and didn't return.
He's not here anymore. We have to focus on the 21 that are here. Like, that's it. 21 guys that are in the building. We got a good defense. Terry Beckner, DJ Dale, those guys in the defense, they handle their business. D-line does their business. DBs are fine. Defense is not the issue. That's why next year we got to keep the defense the same, and we got to go out and get a veteran quarterback. That's it. That's all it is. And we'll be fine. We'll be right there. We're losing games by, even last year, we were 9-8. We lost 4 games by 1 score. 4, right? Lack of execution at the end. And our defense last year was not even anywhere close to the level our defense is this year. So that's what I'm saying. Like, we just need to make some changes and we'll be fine. I believe. I believe in the program, man. I believe in what we're doing. And then, like, you can say Manaz this, Manaz that. Manaz still had the number 1 defense in the league. So, with short notice. So
they was the number 1 defense before Manaz got there. Remember that?
They were number
So
3 defense.
no. You said Fred and them. You said Fred got this defense rolling. Those are your exact words to me. We're the number one defense in the league. Watch. It's not about the coaches. It's about the system. Didn't you tell me that? I can't hear you, Chris.
That certainly seems to be the belief in Massachusetts. Let's
I
be
may, or may,
honest.
not, I may or may not have said that. But the reality is that stuff changes. I support Juwan and the head coaching change he made, and it was best for the program at the time, and I still stand by that. I think we did a great job. We brought in a veteran head coach in Tom Anas, and I've seen him. I've seen the change. I really have, and I even told him that last night. I said, man, I've seen what you've done. I've seen the change. I'm there. I witnessed it. I see the mentality. The mentality shifted. He's trying everything he can to get this program to where it needs to be. And 8-8, man, if we finish 8-8, I'm not mad. We never had a losing season. You know what I mean? These other programs have had losing seasons. We never had.
You better hope that Michigan team in AF1 don't get Minaj. He get to stay home. That's the ideal place for him.
Minaj is going to go through his free agency process as a coach. That's what every coach in every league does. That's what Coach O'Neill will do too. Every coach in every league goes through a free agency process. You heard Coach Ware earlier, right? If he feels that's the best move, then that's the best move. But I'm not going to speak on what we're going to do in the offseason. You know, like Coach O'Neill, man, you might get big time offers. You know, you might get an offer from the IFL. You know what I mean? I really believe, man. I believe, and I'm going to keep saying that, man. I'm going to sound like a broken record. That's it. So I'm not mad. I'm happy. I'm positive. I believe in the future. There's no reason to be mad. You know, you smile during times of adversity, and you know, you laugh during times of winning, and that's what it is. So, you know, I still have my championship ring. My guys still want a ring. You know, and I hope another different team wins a championship this year, so they can experience that feeling too, because it's good for our league to have different champions every year. So that's what I think.
Fair point. You know, like I said, I'm not gonna go too hard on you. You know, it is what it is. We've been going back and forth all season, but it's definitely definitely interesting to see Massachusetts in this position. They have a very talented roster. I definitely think that they should have been better off at this point, but we'll see. We'll see how things go into this offseason. They're going to be an interesting team to follow. Thank you for tuning in, Coach Clark. We appreciate it. Yeah, but any other IFL subjects you guys want to touch on other than Massachusetts? I know that was a great game. It was a lot of fun to watch, but there definitely have been some other things coming up.
Yeah, I want to get my betting picks. I have some stuff to say about my lines and stuff, and you know, about the Vegas game as well. So.
Oh, okay.
About the Vegas game, huh?
That does not surprise me.
Sam, I do got a question for you. Do you think Tulsa can win out these next 2 games? And do you think they made enough adjustments to build a playoff run contention team?
Yes. I full-heartedly think that that they went and got the one quarterback out there that I believe can elevate any program he becomes a part of, whether it's midseason, in the season, doesn't matter. Sam Castronova is by far probably the best quarterback in any indoor league, and I think that he changes the dynamic of that team dramatically. Coach Ware hit on it earlier. He's a great runner, extremely athletic, so he can do a lot with his legs, but he also brings a whole dynamic to that offense that they did not have previously. TJ Edwards, great quarterback, primarily because he can run the ball heavily. So with that thought process, I mean, I think they basically morphed their entire offensive system overnight by bringing in Castronova. And if you kind of just let him lead the ship, I think you're going to be in good shape long term. So as far as that goes, it would not shock me in the slightest to see Tulsa somehow, some way, find a way to the championship game with Castronova healthy at quarterback. Give me a moment. I'll get the DraftKings odds pulled up. Krish, what do you think about Tulsa the rest of the way?
Yeah, I mean, they went out and got an MVP. I mean, what can you say? Like, I mean, they salute to them. They signed Isaiah Scott this week as well. So they're loading up. They're hurt right now, so I'm praying that they lose tonight and lose next week somehow. But I understand that might not be possible. I'm a realist too, but they went out and they got a good quarterback, and so he's a game changer. They're nothing much. I said he was the greatest of all time. I stand by that. He's one of the greatest of all time. He's on that Mount Rushmore of indoor arena football players. So that's what it is, man. Shout out to them, man. They got him there. We can talk about money all day. We can talk about salary cap. We can talk about all that, but we don't need to talk about that. We don't need to go there. They got a good player. He made their team better. That's what good recruiters do. And I might not even watch the game, to be honest. But I think I think Tulsa could win out for sure. Jacksonville is an interesting team to me. They're all right. The more I watch them, and I see Tyler Huff. I think Tyler Huff is young and inexperienced, and I think that might hurt him in the playoffs. So we'll see. There's a lot to be seen with that.
Hey Chris, I think do you think Sam signing in Tulsa not only helps Carl Robinson as a quarterback, but make him more dangerous next year for whatever team he goes to?
Well, what did I tell you? I think that's the plan. I think that's the plan long term is to develop Robinson to be that team starting quarterback going forward. So I think Robinson, he might not be back in Beaumont next year, depending on what league they play in. If they play that in that TAL, he's seeing how the IFL is run. Think about it. He came from a league where the arena is, look at the arena Beaumont plays in compared to Tulsa. Don't you think he's going to want to be the starting quarterback in that Tulsa environment if he's going to shot? If TJ doesn't come back in time for the season, then I think there's a good chance that Robinson will be back with Robinson will be back in Tulsa next year for sure.
I think that would be probably a bright decision by Tulsa to develop a quarterback long term, because I have to wonder if this isn't the end of the road for TJ Edwards. He's been trying to get his way into the UFL or the CFL over the past couple seasons, and it just seems like everybody seems to want to pass him over because he's more of an athlete than a passer. But you can't tell me that he wouldn't belong in the CFL as a short yardage runner or something like that. But regardless, if he hangs it up, then there's a definite hole there, because we all know Sam Castronova is not going to be playing in the IFL for Tulsa all season long next year. He will likely be wearing Albany colors once again to begin this year. So I think if you roll with Carl Robinson heading into 2026, that's probably not the worst decision in the world, and it sets you up for a long-term future with a young quarterback.
That definitely makes sense. I feel like, and if Tulsa do slip and let him go somewhere back to Beaumont, or another team picks him up, he might have another championship season somewhere.
Could very well be. And I know that Tulsa was not the only team that reached out to him this offseason after the NAL season ended to see what he was interested in doing. So, he might find interest in other places. So it'd be interesting to see where he ends up this offseason as well. But we've got a very, very eventful offseason coming up, I think. So it's going to be very interesting. I'm not sure if that's a compliment or I'll take it as one. I guess I said something smart, so that's good. But yeah, anyway, anything else you guys want to cover for the day? Krish is finally catching up on some of the comments that were rolling in during his monologue. But
I wanted to just redo the betting picks, or we do our TAL picks as well. I think there's only one TAL game tonight, so I think Hot Springs is winning tonight. So bounce back game for Bones.
Are you being funny, or are you just trying to get back at me?
I'm being serious.
You were serious last week too.
Yeah,
and we DG and then had to tell the boys to turn up the heat because of you.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. Now Bones is gonna have the mood ready to play. I seen Bones. Bones will bounce back like no other, man. That boy does not take losses well. So
you know what it is, Coach B. He once wore a Pirates polo, so he's automatically the greatest coach of all time.
And he said that to me too. He said Bones was probably their best OC.
I said Bones is a good game planner. Bones puts a lot of work in. I've been in a meeting room with Bones. Bones, Bones, man, Bones will be fine, man. I think Bones will get the W tonight.
I did tell Sam, didn't I say this at the beginning of the season? And I told Chris that it's gonna be hard for Tay and Bones when it gets to the end of the season because they're coaching both sides of the ball. And they went through a whole season now, and now at the end, they didn't understand at the end of the season. I was trying to explain to Chris in the TAL, your coaching only gets better and your players get better during the end of the season. So you need extra help to be able to evaluate and do what you need to do on all aspects.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree, and that's definitely tough. I was not aware that Bones did not have a coordinator there. That's definitely tough. As a head coach, I mean, I can understand calling one side of the ball, but it takes a uniquely talented coach to be able to call both sides of the ball and do it at a high level. So that's tough for sure. So I guess we'll see how things go. I mean, I got a lot of respect for Tay Brooks and Bones for taking over those programs and doing what they had to do to make it through this season. It's obviously not easy at any point to be the only coach or the main coach on any staff. So kudos to those guys, and hopefully they keep going and continue to find success and continue to find head coaching opportunities, because personally, I think both of them are up and coming coaches. And from a marketing perspective, I know I've said this so many times. Bones Bagunte is the perfect coach for Hot Springs. If you're going by a team, if you're going to make a team with a gangster theme, having a head coach with the first name of Bones was the best marketing decision you could have ever made. And I don't know if they did that intentionally or if he was just the best candidate for the job, but that was not something that was lost on me. So I think it's
he's the best candidate for the job, the championship winning offensive coordinator. So yes, he's the best candidate for the job. He was a hell of a player. He's one of the hardest workers I've seen, man. He's the first one in the gym, last one out. So that's the type of guy you want leading your program. He's young, he's smart, he has energy. Coach B, you're smiling. You're the one that always talking about giving new coaching, new school. We got a new school and we got a great one. So
I'm just laughing at you because when I just said that, you tried to stray away from it, and then you just contradicted yourself and came right back with and said everything I said you said.
I'm not really sure what point you're referring to, but I just I'm happy for Bones. I'm excited for him to go on the TL championship run, and best believe Bones are ready for the playoffs. So I'm excited for that.
About these IFL picks.
All right, so San Diego and Indy. When I look at San Diego, man, Cyrus Fagan being released from San Diego, shocking to me. I thought he was going to be a huge role in that DB core. I wonder if they sign him back next week or whatever. But for me, man, I think you look at San Diego, man, and you see, I mean, they've been practicing all week in Indy, so that gives them an advantage. 6.5 though is a demon spread in my opinion. I like Indy and Felix Harper to cover that. Plus 6.5. I also like the under in this game. I think it might be a defensive showdown. My boy Keontae has those boys playing hard on defense for Indy. So Arizona and San Antonio. Ooh, I think this spread is a little too low in my opinion. I like Arizona minus 8.5. I'm not going to respond to that at all. Arizona minus 8.5. Quad City in Iowa, man. Give me the under in that game. Under 91.5. Jacksonville and Tulsa. Give me Jacksonville on the money line. Northern Arizona and Vegas, man. My lock of the week. Give me Northern Arizona plus 15.5. Man, free Arlen Bruce. IV. He's a receiver for Northern Arizona. His case is being resolved by the CFL. You know, he was banned from the NCAA for betting illegally. So I hope Arlen Bruce is able to play in the CFL. You know, that's a huge opportunity for our league and to show the platform that we're building. So yeah, man, Northern Arizona plus 15.5, man. I will donate to a charity of Coach Davis' choice if the Vegas Nighthawks can hold Northern Arizona to under 40 points. I don't see it happening. I see Northern Arizona scoring over 40 points against that Vegas defense. Ramon is going to dice up and give me the over in that game, over 86.5. It's going to be a scoring fest. I still think Vegas will win by 10, but the defense is going to allow over 40 points for Vegas. And then Bay Area and Tucson, man. Everyone's talking about Tucson, all their signings. You know, they signed our boy Alex Coleman. Really excited for AC to get up there and get in the IFL finally. But I don't think Tucson has a chance. I think Tucson is not a good football team at all. They're very overrated, and I think they're going to go down tonight. So give me Bay Area minus 8.5. Coach B, I would love to hear your picks, but before you go, I would like to mention that I am the most accurate in the country, right? I'm the young Messiah for a reason. 130 and 70 overall season, so you know, you can't beat me no matter how hard you try. So.
Hey, you know, I'm right behind you right now, and I started late, and I'm not even gonna go off the money line. I'm gonna just go straight pick 'em. I'm taking San Diego over Frisco. I got Arizona over San Antonio, Quad City over Iowa, Tulsa over Jacksonville. I got Vegas over Northern Arizona, and I got Bay Area Panthers. And my pick was Green Bay last night, and you know I won that one too. So we good on that part.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of good games, man. Our league, again, it's very competitive. You know, it's good to see. It's good. I'm excited for it. I probably won't watch Jacksonville and Tulsa at all. You know, I can't handle, you know, watching us possibly be eliminated from the playoffs. So I'm going to stick with San Diego and Indy, a little bit more of a PG programming for me. So I'm excited for that San Diego Indy game. That's going to be my game of the night. And then I'll tune into Northern Arizona and Vegas. But yeah, Northern Arizona, man, I can't believe they're 15.5 underdog, man. This disrespected crazy, man. Northern Arizona's, they're playing a lot better. They're not the overall, man. Obviously, the record is what it is, but also I think it's a cheesy Umanakwe revenge game too. So I'm excited to see Cheesy go off.
I'll be surprised if Coach Davis and them don't put up 65 points on them.
Oh yeah, they will. They probably will, but they will give up 40. That defense will get sliced up the middle like they've been doing all season. I think that defense will. Ramon's a good quarterback, man. People sleep on Ramon. Ramon's a dog. Ramon will have that defense. Deshaun Stoudemire, he's about to score 3 touchdowns tonight. So
He said you like to keep the 2G for the youth. You know how you do it.
Have to. You know, this is a family show, gentlemen. Just so everybody's aware, this is a family show. Show this to your kids. You know, play it for your wives, because I'm sure they really want to hear us talk about indoor football for 3 hours straight.
I hope I hope my boy Todd at the IFL in the league office is watching, man. I really want to play the Vegas boys next year, man. I really hope we have Vegas on our schedule. You know, I went back and I watched the 2022 Vegas game, or 2023 when they came to our house. We almost put 60 on them boys. So I want Vegas again. I feel like I said, I feel like if we played in the West, we would be a playoff team. But that's
Don't bite off more than you can chew.
The West was pretty tough this year, man. I definitely think you could have said that in years past. And honestly, well, actually, let me back up. The West has been the better division, in my opinion, for the past couple seasons at least. But the East was tough this year. Don't get me wrong. But yeah, I don't know about that, man. I don't know if things would change all that much for Massachusetts if they were in the West. But fair point. I mean, you're allowed to have an opinion, of course. And anything else we want to cover before we get to this interview, this pre-recorded interview with Destin Mack?
Any questions from my followers?
Interesting. We tried this year, but those housing issues that you guys had last year messed that up, Krish. Interesting. Didn't know anything about Massachusetts housing issues, so looking forward to finding out more about that. Interesting.
At least our guys don't, live in mud huts like some NAL teams do. So we feed our guys, we house our guys. Our guys are housed. I've seen the housing. I've been to the housing setup. It's a beautiful housing location. The guys have everything they need to be successful on the field. Sometimes they don't use all of it clearly, but it's all there for them. So, obviously, again, I'm going to keep all internal issues inside the building, but we did have a little bit of a housing thing last year with we moved places, but we'll be fine, man. We'll be fine. Again, before we get off, man, I want people to understand like we are a standard in arena football. We're still one of the top teams out there. So I can deal with all the hate, man. But until you have to play us in the cut, man, then we can talk. So I hope to see Coach Davis next year in Mass, when we play them. Yeah. And I'll make sure my guys are ready for that game. We'll put 80, 90 points on them. So give them the beat down they deserve. So.
Oh, wow. Okay. It's getting spicy in here.
Hey, Chris, your coaching staff ain't like ours. We only put up 90.
Oh, Lord. Here we go.
Yeah, it's 6-man football. You could never do that in the IFL. So.
Lots of shots fired here. Today. It's been a fun show. I appreciate everybody who tuned in. 130 plus live viewers. Gotta love that number. It seems like it goes up every week. And on that note, if you're watching right now and you've enjoyed this content so far, which has been highly entertaining today, if I'm a little biased, but if that's the case and you enjoyed it, share it with some friends. Tell all your sports buddies about it. Like I said, show it to your kids, show it to your wife. Watch it for dinner tonight. Right before you kick on a nice IFL game, turn on this, listen to it for 3 hours while you're making dinner, and then watch the game afterward. It'll be like a full day of football. It's like you clocked in and had football all day. So on that note, check out our merch, brandingblanks.com, Shady Sports Network brand page. We have some brand new fantasy reports merchandise as well with a new logo. Really enjoy that, and definitely you should check that out. We've got some stickers that are for sale as well. Very reasonably priced. If you want to get a Shady Sports sticker, all the proceeds go directly towards supporting this network and covering all of our costs, which, believe it or not, there are a lot of. And then also make sure you are checking out the website. We've had a ton of indoor football content come out on the website as of late. So if you like to read as much as you like to listen to podcasts, check out the website, shadysportsnetwork.com. There's constant content coming out on there as well. So make sure you tune in and check all that stuff out. Any final thoughts from either of you guys before we get out of here and play the Destin Mack interview?
Thank you to all our followers. Thank you to our co-host who wasn't here with us today, TJ. Hopefully we get him back next week. Everybody go follow us. Follow the page. Follow everything Shady Sports Network doing. Follow the St. Joe Goats for sure. Follow the Iowa Power. Coach B gonna be here every Saturday.
Yeah, I appreciate everyone tuning in. Even Coach Davis for all his sly little comments there, man. We also keep receipts up here. So, again, if you want to come to the 508, you got to get it out of blood. So we can just let us know the date next year. My boys will be ready. But, hey, it's hard for me to come on the show. I appreciate the, a lot of conversations, words of encouragement from a lot of people. I was not going to get up this morning. Very difficult. But my guys will be back. Life will go on. The sun will shine. And the Massachusetts Pirates standard will continue. So that's all it is.
Absolutely. Definitely excited to see what the rest of this this season has in store. Apparently no mud in Vegas, only sand. So interesting. On that note,
except on defense, but yeah.
On that note, we're going to get out of here for the day. There is a pre-recorded interview with defensive back Destin Mack of the Massachusetts Pirates. Shout out to the Pirates organization for giving us some media availability every week. If you are another indoor football team that would like to get your players up here on some pre-recorded interviews and give us some media availability each week, we would love to set that up with your organization. Contact us on any form of social media, or you can reach out to me via phone, email, whatever. We can definitely arrange that. On that note, please enjoy this interview with Destin Mack.
Yeah, Homer led the league in tackles with 85. The deep ball for Darius Prince, and Philadelphia's on the board first.
On the draw, this is Grayson Allen. And Allen weaving his way all the way down to the 22. 10-yard line, 5. Mayfield, Dancy, all around. Throw it as far as he can throw it. Jump ball coming. Crazy stuff. Not this time.
And you want to be a wide receiver. You're going to have to take a little bit of a hit like that as Brown got him in that shoulder, but watch. Those are teeth.
Do we have a dentist on staff here?
Shady Sports, man. Today I'm joined by a very special guest, Stevie from my Massachusetts Pirates, Destin Mack. Destin, how you doing today, big dog?
I'm doing good, man.
No, good to see you. So, kind of my first question for you is, you dealt with a lot of adversity this year, first joining the team. Who has been some of your biggest mentors on the team?
My biggest mentor will probably DB Ty Smith. And Amp DB coach and D-line coach Toby. I feel like Ty is just he's a good vet to just have on the team because he's seen the game from all different levels, and he just knows how to just talk to you if you had a bad play, or keep you level-headed. You don't want to get too high, too low when you have a good play. So he's definitely a good vet to have on your side. Amp, the DB coach, he's seen the game from a different view too. So just having him on the side, and just Toby, because Toby's kind of vocal. He's real vocal about it. So he's real aggressive on his techniques and stuff like that. So just having those three by my side, I feel like they're a good mentor.
Most definitely. And, the Pirates organization is known for being a very competitive environment, right? So kind of speak to how your experience with the organization has been so far, both on and off the field.
It's been good. Like I said, I'm just blessed, and thank God for this opportunity just to be in here, just to play ball again. Just being in the locker room with a guy, just creating that bond. Get to know my teammates, because that goes a long way in practice and game. Off the field, we do a lot. We did a little, when I first got here, we did a little, getting together, just spend some time away from football, just to get to know each other. We're doing that a lot more now, since I've been here for almost 3 months. But yeah, just out the field, we just spending time with each other. Sometimes we'll probably go bowling or something. Go to a movie. Just trying to get to know each other outside of football. Really, some of us is from the same state too, so that goes a long way too. So.
Yes, so a lot of Georgia guys on the team, man. I feel like half our team is from Georgia, but a lot of younger guys coming out of college, the stereotype that indoor football might be too easy, or it's not, the pro level. Did the level of competition in the IFL kind of surprise you at all?
It honestly did, because I'll say in the middle, it didn't, but it did, because you gotta think about when I was coming in, I'm thinking I'm just trying to do my best so I can help the team out. But then I got, this is my first time going against the high motions and stuff. So I got to respect those boys on the other side of the field, because I can't really just come in here and think I'm just going to it's going to be an easy cake. You feel me? So I definitely just respected all the wide receivers in this league.
But at the end of the day, like I choose myself. I choose myself going against anybody in this league. So,
Speaking of competition, man, who's the best wide receiver that you ever went against in your football career?
in my football career, let me see. That's a tough one because there's a lot of good receivers out there I went against. Let me say. Let me see. That's tough. Can it be in the IFL too?
Yes.
It could be because it was one receiver from Clinton. I forgot his name though. But I'm gonna say T.O., our own T.O., the wide receiver for our team, because that's another vet that just knows how to like play the game, and he's gonna give you like good releases and stuff like that. So just going against T.O. really every day at practice, gets me ready for game day. So I'll say T.O. as the best receiver I went against.
Which NFL DB, past or present, would you kind of compare yourself to?
I feel like I'm more Kenny Moore that plays for the Colts. He's a nickelback, so he's real aggressive on like the coverages, but he also knows how to like get down in the box for a run fit. And I feel like my strength. A lot of people don't know that I'm a good tackler as a DB. So yeah, I feel like I play like more like Kenny Moore for the Colts.
I do have to ask you. You went to an FCS school, so it's kind of certainly impacted you. In your opinion, what's your opinion on NIL? Name, image, and likeness, and how would you have utilized it if you were still in college today?
I feel like it's a good idea. I mean, you got to think about most of these athletes. Like, I mean, we got to hit the reality sometimes. So most of these athletes not really gonna get a chance at the pro level. You feel me? So like, just being able to like, collect and like just have a moment in college is a real like big step for us. Like, not even during college, but like for the future when we get out of college. You feel me? So like we'll have like a leave. What I'm trying to say, we'll have like a I guess like a room, a comfortable room that we can just like when we get out of college, we know how to like finance ourselves. We know how to like we have enough money to like find a job or something like that. But it's easy to say when you go to the league and you get this big contract, you set. But like for the people who don't get that chance or that opportunity, that NIL definitely comes in hand because like we have something that we can fall back on to get back on our feet. That's what I'm trying to say. We have something to fall back on to get back on our feet if it doesn't go that route. But I think it's a great idea. I mean, I wish I had it at the Citadel. But yeah, I feel like it's a great idea for these the next generation.
Most definitely, and I kind of want to ask you, what motivated you to stay loyal to the Citadel for your whole college career rather than enter the transfer portal? Because I'm sure you had offers to go other places.
Yeah. I talk to my close friends about it every day. Like, I mean, I had an opportunity to go play at bigger colleges than the Citadel, but it definitely was a communication with my agent at the time, like just to see like what are my options and like how I best fit that program. And we came to the conclusion that it would just be best to like just stay at the Citadel. Just I know the scheme, I know the players, I know the coaches and stuff like that. And I love the school. The school does a lot to me. Coming into school, I wasn't really prepared to what I was going to face at the Citadel, but like just finishing that college definitely made me a better man and better person on and off the field. So I just went with that way, just staying loyal with the school because they done a lot for me. So I wanted just to get back.
That's definitely interesting. You had an agent during your college career. Kind of talk to me about your relationship with him or her and how they kind of navigated you in the right direction.
Yeah, so I got my agent around so I had a COVID year, so it was technically my junior year when I got my agent, but it was like going into my senior year. You know, we got a good relationship. He's gonna, you know, he's gonna keep it real with me. Just tell me like, he's not really gonna tell me like what I want to hear, but he's always gonna tell me like what I need to hear. You know, it was a tough road. It was a tough road when I left Jacksonville, 2023. Yeah, 2023, and I kind of was like on.
I'm a game changer. I'm a game changer. I'm a game changer. I'm a game changer. I'm a game changer.